as well. What a move from the 48. Oh, look at this, and onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from the number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to the season finale of the 2026 Motorsport UK Esports Rookie Sportscar Cup as powered by the SimRacing Collective and supported by official prize partners FINALE and Simagic. That's right ladies and gentlemen, after 4 incredible weeks of intense racing action, we've arrived at our season finale destination. We began in the United Kingdom all those many weeks ago at Snetterton, and we've made our way from east to west as we've headed to northwest England for the home of British motorsport in the northwest. It is none other than the Oulton Park International Circuit. Conceived as a means of bringing motorsport to the northern section of the United Kingdom, with the north being left out in the 1950s and 1960s, this circuit is a staple of modern British motorsport. Whether it be British GT or the British Touring Car Championship or TCR UK, you name it, it races here on an annual basis, and it's a circuit that is much a change about conquering the circuit as it is battling your rivals. As our drivers make their way out onto the international out, minus the Hislop chicane, they'll find themselves having to contend with the fact that they've got a very challenging combination of cores awaiting them. As they'll be finding, it's going to be 14 corners in total, over 2.69 miles in length, and as they weave and wind their way between the corners, they'll find it's incredibly narrow, and therefore track position is going to be absolutely key. And with our championships on the line in both our main event, the Rookie Sportscar Cup, but also on top of that, we do have none other than the SimRacing Collective Hot Hatch Trophy, which supports it. Well, this is going to be a thriller all the way to conclusion. But where are my manners? Allow me to welcome you to this live broadcast from Circuit Side as you tune tonight via one of the free media channels available to you. Firstly, you can tune in via one of the 2 Motorsport UK Esports media channels, one of which is on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for Motorsport UK Esports, and hello to you guys and girls tuning in there. Alternatively, for more Twitch inclined, you can of course be tuning in via twitch.tv/Motorsport UK Esports, and hello to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch. And lastly, of course, we do have the broadcast available on YouTube via the SimRacing Collective YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and search your TSRC or the SimRacing Collective Esports. But regardless of what media channel you tune into, this broadcast being brought to you live from Circuit Side, you've got the same broadcast on all 3 media channels. In the comments view, if you have myself, my name is Paul Walsh, and I shall be your host and commentator for this season finale. And as always, we kick off with the Hot Hatch Trophy. But in fact, what better way to set you up for an evening of absolutely exciting, entertaining racing than to recap our schedule. And here it is, our broadcast schedule for the finale. You've perhaps become accustomed to this now if you've been watching since the season starts. And as we can see, we're currently in the throes of qualifying for the Hot Hatch Trophy, after which we'll make it away to the grid for the first of our races, the 30-minute race for the Hot Hatches, after which we'll be taking some post-round interviews with our drivers before taking a brief break and then returning at 8 o'clock this evening for the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup finale. Then we'll be making away into that qualifying session, out of it into the first of their 2 races, 2 20-minute races, all of course with that all-important top 8 inverted grid for race number 2. And come approximately 9 o'clock this evening, we will have our provisional champions, not just in our Hot Hatch Trophy, but in our main event, the Rookie Sportscar Cup. And that is where the crown will lie. But who exactly is going to be taking the crowns in our series, we will have to wait and see. And indeed, we have made our way around the globe on this journey on the Premier Sim Racing platform available only on PC known as iRacing. And gone from Snetterton to Rudskogen in Norway to Oschersleben in Germany, and last time out we were in Australia at the revived Oulton Park Raceway. The circuit decommissioned and closed down as of February 2010, but we made it rise to the ashes like the Phoenix, and what a brilliant round of racing we had there. But we could recap it all, but in fact we need to get to task here, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not going to be long before we have our first race. And here we are, the Oulton Park circuit, the International, well, the Britain chicane. I said without the Hislop chicane earlier on, and that's blasphemy there. It's without Britain's, in fact, the first of the 2 chicanes added to slow down the racing. But if anything, it's only going to increase the pace of the racing as the drivers attack this circuit this Monday, the 27th of July. To talk a little bit about our host circuit, located near the village of Little Budworth in the Cheshire County of England, United Kingdom, there is on screen an iconic circuit and much loved and much known in the United Kingdom, if not further abroad. And as our drivers roll the way out at the 2.62 mile course, they'll definitely know they've got to do some hard work here if they want to come away victorious over the distance. But rather than talk about the circuit for a diagram, let's give you a quick reminder of the rules and regulations with our support series, the Sim Racing Collective Hot Hatch Trophy. And as we can see, qualifying consists of 8 minutes or 3 laps, whichever expires first, after which they'll go to the grid for their 30-minute race. Setup-wise is a fixed setup series with everyone running the same setup on the car. This really comes down to the driver and their ability. Damage-wise, there's 1 fast repair available should a driver need to use it. The start will be standing, and we'll see instant points accrue to 17, at which point they'll pick up a drive-through penalty, and should they get to another 10, they'll continue to pick up those drive-through penalties ad infinitum until they get to the checker flag. But without further ado, let's make our way back to circuit side, ladies and gentlemen, and quickly bring you up to speed with the championship standings after 4 of 5 rounds, with 1 drop score accounted for, and it is a 5-way fight for the title. Andrew Pint leads with 77 points, but he had a dismal day in the office last time out, only imagined 6th place at Oulton Park, and Kieran Sharp, the man who's been Mr. Pole Sitter, beaten to pole position by Adrian Borowski last time out, who broke the streak of Kieran Sharp, who had taken all pole positions up to that point. He sits in 2nd, but it was also a frustrating 4th place for him in Australia. Thomas Hill taking that maiden win, and it's 1 win for Hill, 1 win for Sharp, and 2 for Pike. But keep in mind, the best part there of 6 points behind, it's Adrian Borowski, and then we do have Tom Davidson completing that top 5 for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, and those are your 5 major contenders. It's a sizable gap to Janos Venzo, who really came on true form last time out, beating what was Andrew Pike to the finishing positions inside the top 5. And then we do see Craig Twardock, Patrick Gallick, Ian Rankin, and Philip Morales completing the top 10. Outside the top 10, James Stone Radford ahead of Matt Cheverton, with Julian Rehrberger, Lenny Hansen, and Conrad Kula completing the top 15. And round off the top 20, Jay Walsh, Ben Brown, Tony Preston, Harry Mason, and Leo Einer. And outside that top 20, not to be forgotten about, we do have there Byron Forrest II, Artin Fomin, Michael Luke Jackson, and on 0 points, Luciano Gonzalez, Harley Butcher, Kieran O'Reilly, and Alan Duhick. But ladies and gentlemen, as we are at circuit side, we're coming to the end of the qualifying session, and who exactly is looking to be the quickest out there right now? Well, it is looking to be not this man, Andrew Pint, your championship leader, I can tell you that. We focus on him first and foremost because he is the favourite to take the crown today, but it is Tom Davidson who's currently the quickest out there, and Mr. 5th at the moment in the championship, and well, he could potentially have an opportunity here to steal things away should the results head in his direction. As he parks up there, currently the fastest of everybody. Well, Kieran Sharp not too far behind, to be fair, albeit the gap between the two of them, only a grand total of 700ths of a second. And then we do see the Polish driver there of Adrian Borowski chasing after pole position, but not quite working out as Andrew Pint comes to the end of his qualifying session, and he's going to be staying 5th place at best with 10 seconds left on the clock. And as he rolls his way through the corner there, well, he's going to come to a halt. But that is qualifying essentially complete, ladies and gentlemen, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And as qualifying comes to a close, well, the time is up. It is time to make our way to the grid then for the first of our 2 race events here at what is the Oulton Park International Circuit. And we of course start off with the Hot Hatch Trophy for their 30-minute race as they make their way onto the tarmac for the gridding procedure. And this is how they're all going to line up then, and as they roll the way back out, well, it's Tom Davidson who takes pole position for TSRC Esports, his maiden pole position of the season, and making sure that Kieran Sharp's pole position run only stays at 3, not 4 out of 5, and they lock out the front row. Adrian Borowski starts in 3rd place, the priority just ahead of Philip Morose, who takes a season best qualifying performance there, starting in 4th place. Well done to the Russian driver for that. And then we have Andrew Pike, the championship leader, starting 5th, ahead of Janos Venzel, the other TSRC driver alongside him. Then it's going to be Thomas Hill, the privateer, in 7th, and it's been a tough qualifying session for Thomas Hill. He's going to have to fight his way forward, with Craig Twardock starting 8th place there, ahead of Patrick Gallick for Mr. Apex Motorsport, and Matt Cheverton for Aztec Racing. They complete your top 10 with Ben Brown in 11th, only racing ahead of the privateer of Ian Rankin, and outside that top 10, we do have in 13th place James Stone Bradford for the Dogs, ahead of Michael Luke Jackson. Now it's going to be Harry Mason and Tony Preston on row number 8, and then starting in 17th, last but by no means least, it is going to be Mr. Apex Motorsports Julian Rehrberger. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how they all line up for our support race, and as they all get themselves set into position, Well, many of you will be asking the question, what exactly is expected to go down here and what exactly can we expect in terms of that championship battle? Well, the quick summary of how this championship works out. Andrew Pike is the leader in the championship by 5 points over Kieran Sharp. Should he take the win, he will be guaranteed your champion. Should Kieran Sharp win the race and Andrew Pike finishes second, then it will come down to who gets the fastest lap and result count back, of which Andrew Pike will win it, and it would be the same if Thomas Hill wins the race and Andrew Pike finishes second. But the grid is set, here come the lights. And it's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's firing lights. And it's lights out, away we go for the final Hot Hatch Trophy race of the season. And as Tom Davison gets a good start, they're starting uphill, understandably. Kieran Sharp latched onto the back of him immediately. Sharp going for this move, and he was saying to me in the build-up to today, he knows what he's got to do in order to win this championship. And the first and foremost thing is he needs to beat Andrew Pike. As they come storming down the hill towards what will be turn number 3, going all the way through Dentons into Cascades. Right now, top 3 breaking away as Andrew Pike's had a good start there, holding on to the back of Philip Moroz. Oh, there's a bit of big lock-up for one of the drivers there, and well, I believe somebody's taken a trip wide, and that's going to be a rejoin there for Ian Rankin in the 248, and I think he was the driver who we saw the lock-up for and end up escorting himself down the hill. But meanwhile, going through Island Bend for the first time, Tom Davidson, the pole sitter, he's holding his position right now for TSRC, ahead of Kieran Sharp, and Adrian Borowski looking to try and go for his first win of the season. Of course, the driver who took pole at Oulton Park, but unfortunately was pipped to the post on lap number 3 by Thomas Hill, and Hill was the quicker of the 2 drivers. But meanwhile behind, there's a bit of an excursion wide there, and that is Patrick Gallick, the man who experienced major irony at Oulton Park by having that huge incident into turns 1 and 2 after saying in the post-round interviews from round number 3 that would be the biggest risk point. You'd expect that a driver would get it wrong, and it would be he himself who would get it wrong at Oulton Park. And indeed, the man who knows a lot about these Clio Cup cars, definitely having a difficult day in the office in Australia as he gets himself back together, but he's dropped all the way down to 14th place. Tony Preston, Ben Brown and Ian Rankin then bring up the rear of the field at the moment from 15th through to 17th. Ian Rankin knows he's got some work to do, having started in 12th, handing that off at turn number 3 and trying to make his way back up through the field. But we look back to the front, and remember, over 30 minutes of racing distance here. This is going to be tough on tyres, and also we've got very hot conditions here today. An ambient temperature of 22 degrees Celsius, track temperature before going into the race of 35 degrees Celsius. This circuit is going to be hot. Front tyres are definitely going to feel the pressure, as meanwhile, what's going on back here? And that's going to be a move potentially here from Thomas Hill. Look up the inside of the privateer machine. Goes all in for the move as Janos Svensson and dispatches him. So a place taken by Hill. That's 1 down. Another 5 to go if he wants a chance of taking this championship crown. But after 1 lap, it is Tom Davidson ahead of Kieran Sharp, followed by Adrian Borowski. Philip Moreau sits in 4th ahead of Andrew Pike. Then we do have Thomas Hill and Janos Svensson, 6th and 7th. Third behind, meanwhile, Matt Cheverton fighting with James Stone Radford. Oh, and it goes to drama, and Cheverton turned across the front there at Stone Radford. Now, did he understeer across the front of Stone Radford's car? That'll be the question mark for the stewards afterwards. But the Aztec Racing driver's car in pieces there. And well, that's going to be a tow to the pits, no doubt about it. And frustration for Cheverton, who was trying to make a move stick, and unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for the shiny red machine. And unfortunately for Cheverton, that is going to be a race that heads to the pit lane now. And hopefully we get to see him back out there. But I suspect he will be a lap down as Tom Davidson's gone wide at Island Bend. And the 42 driver there loses the lead of the race. Well, drama, a twist in the tail. And Kieran Sharp is now into lead. If things were to finish as they currently stand, Kieran Sharp would be your 2026 Hot Hatch Trophy champion in the series, powered by the Sim Racing Collective, as they make their way all the way over the rise right now. Well, it could change later on. Remember, Sharp's got the lead. Now he's got to try and break away if he can, as Andrew Pike tries to clear Philip Moroz, and we'll go in defensive here, coming down in towards the Hislop chicane. And as they do, the number 57 driver here making sure not to be repassed is Blend 37, the 1999 tribute livery for the Super Touring era of the BTCC, the tribute to Jason Plato and Aluminium's livery, or Van Muller's livery, I should say, on the Renault car there. But meanwhile, Craig Twardock using a little bit of liberal track limits there and a bit of grass with it in order to try and make his way around the outside of Thomas Hill. And right now, the Napa Racing tribute livery car definitely trying to go on a bit of aggression here is Twardock, and makes that move stick. Thomas Hill tucks back in behind, but not happy about that. You can definitely tell the way Hill came into Druids Bend. They're very eager to try and make a move. But as they come down in towards Lodge Corner, well, right now, Kieran Sharp definitely pulling away a little bit as we do look a little bit further back. And there we can see Patrick Gallick trying to recover some ground, looking up the inside of Harry Mason and making a move on the Dogs machine there, the Dogs Trust car. And well, Gallick now up into 11th place. A lovely move there for the Mr. Apex Motorsport driver. And well, very keen to make that progress as he rolls his way on to the next couple of corners. But as time continues to wear on, we're not even 4 minutes into this race yet. And here comes a move from Patrick Gallick on James Stone Radford, but that's not going to work out there. He is going to be made to wait just a little bit as they roll off the corner. But understandably, more could change a bit later on as they come down through Cascade in towards Dentons this time. And as they do, well, what's it going to be? Well, for James Stone Radford, it is going to be hold your ground. Meanwhile, behind Ian Rankin and Tony Preston, Rankin on around the outside there, an unconventional move, but Ian Rankin's going to get it done, or is he? As Preston tries to come back at him now in the run all the way out Lakeside, down towards Island Bend, and looking one way then the other. Tony Preston maybe fighting for 15th place, but it means a lot to him, and the same for Ian Rankin here, and Rankin will hold that position just about, but we could expect a bit more of a fight from them later on. But meanwhile, to your leader, as he makes his way past the non-in-use Britain chicane, and as he makes his way over the rise of the hilltop, and down he goes towards the braking zone here for Hislops. Well, you can definitely see Adrian Borowski now trying to turn up the wick a little bit, as is Sharp, but remember the problem that Sharp has is that whilst he's got clear track in front of him, he doesn't have the slipstream on the straights, and that's where the gaps will come down. These Clio Cup cars are not the most aerodynamic in the world, but they do punch a big hole in the air for the car behind them to follow through, and therefore they can pick up the best part of 3 to 4 miles an hour on an extended piece of straight. As he heads all the way in towards Druids this time. Very tricky corner combination, of course. Druids, a double apex right-hander that is off camber on exit as well. You go over a bump as Sharp makes way over the rise, and you've got to make sure you don't understeer too wide because the car is lifted into the air and the rear of the car comes up. All the weight goes onto nose suddenly, and if you twitch the steering wheel too much, you can find yourself very quickly oversteering into a barrier. Indeed, one of the toughest corners in the United Kingdom, if not in the world. As meanwhile, big Q building up here behind Michael Luke Jackson, who has not been on the grid for a couple of rounds, but good to see Michael Luke Jackson back. And well, the British driver, his best result so far has been the 17th place in round number 2, and I think he's going to be hoping he can do a bit more here in the 27 as he goes into the pit lane. There's damage for Luke Jackson's car, in fact. Well, I haven't quite seen where that's come from, but he's got a meatball flag up here in my ear, and Luke Jackson is into the pits for repair work, so he'll use that fast repair, but how exactly that's happened, we'll have to try and find out, because it's got a stray for him. And Stone Bradford, meanwhile, side by side here with Patrick Gallick as they make their way down towards turn number 3, coming in towards Cascades. And as they do, it's going to move on the inside from Patrick Gallick here, trying to take on the second member of the Dogs team. And we can't make it work there. Stone Bradford just holding around the outside. Lovely driving from Stone Bradford. And we can see there, Patrick Gallick wants to go forward. The problem is that Harry Mason says to him, no, you don't. You're between us now. And well, as they come in towards that left-hander of Island Bend this time, we can see a bit of understeer there from Gallick, but it's going to bring it back together. Goes onto the brakes there for Charles Corner. Big lock up there for Harry Mason, and that's going to open up the gap. That will take the pressure off of Gallick quite comfortably, and the Austria driver now may be able to go on the charge a little bit more as they make the way over the hilltop. But from then, we're back to the front of the field, and Kieran Sharp right now finds that Adrian Borowski is not going to let him go. So Borowski is here for the long haul, as are all of our drivers, and well, as we come towards the end of the opening third of this race, what we are also seeing is that Tom Davidson, he's being dropped a little bit by the top 2, or he has been, but he's still within a second as Andrew Pike continues to close the gap to him. Now, the big question mark will be, how do Davidson and Pike play this? Because understandably, this is a drivers only championship. They are teammates of the TSRC esports community, as Kieran Sharp are part of it. We know the rivalry between them all right now. They will not be looking at each other as teammates whilst they're out on the tarmac. But I wonder whether Davidson and Pike might try to work together to close the gap to the top 2. Because for Davidson, he needs to be Adrian Borowski for 4th in the championship. And in theory, both drivers have a chance of taking the crown should we see Sharp, Pike and Hill not win the race, because there's a sizable gap of 6 points between first and second, and should we see any of those drivers finishing first and suddenly other drivers finish further down the order, this could still be Borowski's or Davidson's championship crown. That's how wide open this is right now. Wins are so important over the course of a 5-round campaign. But as we do see them continue to fight, Patrick Gallick here looking for the move around the outside of Stone Radford through turn 1, goes very wide there, comes back on with a little bit of rally cross. That'll be an instant point. Now, will he pick up a yellow flag for that? I don't think so, but I think there will be an argument for Stone Bradford should that place be held. The fact that the move was made off track. Let's wait and see what happens there. Or does Stone Bradford just bite his lip a little bit and sit behind right now and think about the bigger picture? That may be the smarter move here as they make the way onwards. As they charge the way over through. If you are tuning in right now and you have got access to the YouTube or the Twitch chat, don't be shy. Feel free to say hi. Let us know how you're doing and what you're excited for, and also let us know who you're cheering on here in the Hot Hatch Trophy. As meanwhile, Philip Moreau here finds himself under pressure with Craig Twaddock and Thomas Hill, and also Jonas Wenzel. And Jonas Wenzel, when he got out the car at Oran Park, was saying he really feels as though he's got back to some of his best driving in the best part of the last 6 years. And well, the German driver right now definitely eager to make a bit of an impression here. Albeit he's got a long conga line of cars to try and pick his way past. But the fact he can still see Kieran Sharp, the leader, only the best part there of what is 5 seconds up the road, that's going to be a very comfortable mental space to be in, knowing the fact he's still in the hunt for potentially the win of this race. It could all change. If the fighting really explodes onto our screen later on, then suddenly it will be Jonas Wenzel who'll be feeling as though there's a way in at the end. Speaking of which, Philip Moreau's here, finding Craig Todd, looking for a bit of a cheeky move there, coming through the double right of Druids Bend. Moreau goes a bit wide there, and as he does, well, Todd doesn't need to be asked twice to go for a move. Here they go, too wide under the Warwick Bridge, and as they come into the braking zone here, well, Todd on the inside, Moreau's on the outside, onto the brakes they both go. And I think this is going to be a move from Craig Twaddock, successfully executed. And just like that, he gets it done. Lovely move there from Craig Twardok. And also, Janus Wenzel now trying to go on the attack as Thomas Hill snuck through with Twardok. But Wenzel has now got to find his way around the inside there. Goes all in the 3-1-3. And Philip Moreau's with the space of one move being made at Lodge Corner. Loses 3 places. Craig Twardok started it. And that's how it's ended as they make the way down the hill. It was turn number 3. And we do say hello in the YouTube chat there to Jakub Lusnak. And good evening to you, good sir. And happy to see you tuning in. And we'll also say hello there to Samantha McMahon, who is cheering on Thomas Hill. And right now, Thomas Hill still fights his way forward. Chased after Craig Twardok there. This is a tough circuit to be consistent at right now. So do keep in mind that whilst Hill is down in 6th place at the moment, this may not be where he finishes. He may finish further up because later on in this race, we reckon that tyre wear is going to play an increasingly important part. The most important race of the season, this one. Not just the fact it's the season finale and there's a 5-way fight for the championship, but also the fact we've got such high track temperatures at the moment and those front tyres will be feeding a huge pinch. And should we see any fight at the front of the field, that is where all the battling is going to suddenly erupt as they come down the hill in towards Hislop's once again. Kieran Sharp holding his ground versus Adrian Broski, and there's Tom Dawson and Andrew Pike getting a little bit closer, but Kieran Sharp now feeling the pressure as we ride aboard. And we've got this wonderful camera on the side there of Adrian Broski, and that gives you an idea of how close he's getting to what is the side of the road. But as he makes his way forward, where we do look to what is the down look over cam, or what is also known as the roof camera there, as he rolls his way through the corners. And right now, your number 97 driver definitely going on the attack. But what's happening further back, I'm hearing in my ear, that we're hearing that Thomas Hill's found his way past Janus Wenzel, and he's made that happen. Coming through, what was Druid's Bend there? We'll have to get a replay of that very shortly, as well as some of the big moments of this race. It has been a very exciting race so far, as Hill goes defensive there versus Wenzel. He overcooks it. Lock up on the front left brake. And well, that's going to be a mistake there from Thomas Hill. And well, they're going to fan out 3 wide almost here. Hill puts himself in the middle of the road. Wenzel goes to the inside. Hill comes over even more and says to Wenzel, if you're going to go for it, go to the wall then. And Wenzel says, I don't want it that much. And me or Philip Rose tries to go around the outside, but that's not going to work. As he now watches this from behind. We ride aboard with the 812 driver. And coming all the way down the hill right now in towards Cascades this time. Well, can Philip Rose here potentially thread the needle as that's a bit of grass there being taken by the rear right tyre of Janus Wenzel's car, and that causes him to slide loose a little bit, but he gets that under control. And well, of course, the thing with front engine front wheel drive machines such as these Clio Cup cars is when you do start to experience a loose rear end, get the throttle down as much as possible, get the front end to understeer, and you'll be able to power through the slide. Whereas, of course, it's the opposite in rear wheel drive machines such as our Mazda MX-5 you'll see in the Rookie Sportscar Cup a little bit later on in this broadcast. But as our drivers make the way out to Sherrills Bend this time, Janus Wenzel definitely feeling the heat here as Thomas Hill is holding him at bay. He wants to get past us Wenzel, but Hill is a very steady driver at that. But there they make the way over the rise. But as they do, well, meanwhile, what's happening a bit further down the order, we'll have to find out shortly, as well as some replays. Do we see Wenzel look for a move here in towards Hislop? The answer is no. The German driver stays behind for now. Looking back to Julian Rehrberger, attacking Ian Rankin here. Both of these drivers doing a great job moving the way out through the field, to be fair to them. Now fighting for 13th place. And Mr. Apex Motorsport drivers definitely had a bit of a downward season in terms of the way results have gone, but he's never given up and he's always got a positive face on him. And the number 87 driver weaving his way through the chicane there, but Ian Rankin the quicker of the 2 drivers. But with that, we do go back to the race start and take a look at some of the big moments, including where it all went wrong for Ben Brown and Ian Rankin at the start. Well, there's Craig Twardok taking a bit of ooh, goodness me, and that explains why Ben Brown went out and in the end collected Ian Rankin. So Craig Twardok there went to the grass. Can we get a bit of an earlier look at that incident? I think we can. This is one of our other cameras. And this was Craig Twardok battling side by side with Patrick Gallick, and in the end, Matt Sheraton alongside. Oh, we would contact there, Matt Sheraton. It sent Twardok over, and well, he came back on, clipped Ben Brown. He went to the grass, and unfortunately, both drivers there being caught at each other, and Ian Rankin an innocent party, and will be escorted off the road. So that explains what happened there. Then we did have this moment for none other than Thomas Hill on lap number 1, whereby he made his way through Cascades, and we're trying to chase after what was Janus Wenzel at the time, but got the power down and understeered quite wide there, but kept it on the road. Then we had a bit of drama from Patrick Gallick later on lap number 1. This was Gallick making his way into Sherrills Bend, looked up the inside there, Sheraton, and I don't think Sheraton will have appreciated that, and both drivers escorted each other wide. Patrick Gallick immediately chucked the car out of Sherrills Bend. I think that was to avoid any further incidents. And well, the Austrian driver there definitely making a bit of a ham sandwich of that corner and wanting to get back on the road as quickly as he possibly could. And then on lap number 2, we had this between James Stone Bradford and Matt Sheraton. This was going into Old Hall Bend, and as they went too wide in, Sheraton had got it done, but then understeered a bit wide. Stone Bradford was still there, he wasn't clear of him, and that's what led to the contact between the 2 drivers, unfortunately. Stone Bradford came off the better, and Matt Sheraton's race came to a very abrupt halt. And well, we also did have what was a bit of a moment for what was James Stone Bradford a bit later on, and this was on lap number 4. where things went from good to bad to worse for the Dogs driver, making its way in towards Lodge Corner and got the power down, went very wide there and, well, brought himself back on, but it couldn't have been that bad, as in the end Patrick Gallic was held behind. But with that, as we did see their battle too wide coming in towards the opening bend here, and that's what it culminated in. Patrick Gallic had to go round the outside, and this was how he got it done, in fact, then. So Gallic seized on the opportunity. Well, he went wide himself, but got the move done as we return to your live racing. And as we do, more fighting to come between all these drivers, no doubt about it. As we look back to your leaders, they go on to lap number 9. Still plenty of racing to go here as we reach the halfway point. Kieran Sharp leading still ahead of Adrian Borowski. Then we do have a 1.2 second gap to Tom Davidson. You can see there in the rear of the picture. He gives chase in third. Then we have Andrew Pike, 1.4 seconds behind. In fourth, there is a sizable 4-second gap to Craig Twardock ahead of Thomas Hill. And then we have Philip Moroz in at 7th ahead of Janos Wenzel. And then we will have Patrick Gallic right now bringing Jamestown Bradford with him to the party as they make the way on down the hill. But it does seem as though the battles have spread out a little bit, although we have had a bit of a moment for Janos Wenzel, I do believe. And here's a quick replay to explain what exactly has happened to Janos Wenzel. We go back in time to lap number 8. So this was Wenzel versus Thomas Hill coming down from the run of Hilltop in towards Islops, and Hill went very defensive at that last possible moment. Wenzel with him, and something tells me here, and then it was back and forth between the two of them. So that set up the run, and well, Hill in the end definitely getting a bit firm with his defensive lines. And then we did have this month for Janos Wenzel only months later. This was going in towards Lodge Corner to complete lap number 8. Wenzel came in very hot, locked up on the front brakes, and clipped the rear of Hill's car, but in the end sent himself to the gravel trap. And well, there's a big run wide there for Philip Moroz as well. A big lock up of the brakes, but Janos Wenzel come off the worst of all of them as we head back to your live racing. And as we do, we'll change the foot there, but still more fighting to come as we look back to the fight for 13th place between Julian Rehrberger and Ian Rankin. Rankin, of course, much quicker through the Hislop chicane by comparison. These two back and forth as much as possible, but right now Rehrberger gradually being dropped, it would seem, and he does have a 7-second gap to Tony Preston and Michael Luke Jackson, who we don't quite know what happened to Luke Jackson, other than the fact that he did have to come into the pit lane due to damage to the car. We're guessing on lap number 3 he may have made contact to the tyre stack at the Hislop chicane, and that would most likely explain it. But other than that, we don't have any other information available, ladies and gentlemen, other than he had to come into the pit for repair work to the car. He looked absolutely fine, but the car definitely was not under the scenes. Indeed, appearances can be deceiving, but right now it looks as though, it appears at least, Kieran Sharp could be in control of this one. And bear in mind, if things are the fish as they currently stand, Kieran Sharp would take none other than the second win of the season, and he would become your 2026 provisional Sim Racing Collective Hot Hatch Trophy champion. However, Tom Davidson and Andrew Pike are not too far behind, and Andrew Pike's the man who right now needs to get into that second place if he can, and preferably second and the fastest lap. If he does that, it will go to tie-break, and on that we will result count back, and it will come down to his 6th place finish earlier in the season, because they will be tied on wins, they'll be tied on podiums, and they'll be tied all the way down to 6th place finishes, which Andrew Pike has won. Kieran Sharp has none. He has a 7th place finish. So that is how close this is right now as he makes his way over the rise, but he's still got some work to do. And the fastest lap at the moment is owned by this man, Adrian Borowski, at a 47.28, a very impressive lap. That's going to be hard to beat now that tyre life has started to become an increasingly detrimental factor to pace in these cars. So for Andrew Pike, it may be win or lose right now, rather than second place. The fastest lap means he wins. It's going to have to be all or nothing here, as Kieran Sharp can just continue to enjoy himself at the front of the field. Should he finish in second, however, and Pike finishes fourth, well, that throws a few conundrums in the works, and we will do all the mathematics we can with regards to that when we do get an opportunity to do so, ladies and gents. We do have our spreadsheet available to us, and therefore we can do all the mathematics as we go. And well, with regards to if Pike was to take 4th place and Sharp was to take 2nd, it would still be Kieran Sharp who wins this, as we understand it, by 2 points. It would not go to count back. So that's why Andrew Pike needs to at least move it to 3rd to Tom Davidson in order to be ready for that scenario. But that's all the theory. Let's stay with what's happening on the circuit right now. And a bit further back, Thomas Hill now started to make his way on the attack as they head in towards turn number 1. Looking for a way in if he can, as we ride on board the roll bar here of the 196. And well, Thomas Hill right now getting closer as he comes off the grass there. And the car looking to be absolutely in healthy state at the moment as he gets ready to attack Twardock. But Craig Tardock is not an easy driver to pass. We've seen that over the course of this season. We've seen him get his elbows out several times, and Thomas Hill has definitely felt that already here today. So, what can Hill do here to outsmart the man in the Napa car? Well, the answer is going to be he's going to need to try and do something a bit unconventional. Try to go for a lunge somewhere that Tardock would not expect it, or get some sort of switch back out of the corner, or go Tardock into an error. But the thing with Craig Tardock is, when he makes errors, they're very rare, but they will be very spectacular when they happen, typically. And that's what Hill's got to prey on here, is that he can really goad Tardock into a major error. As he come over the hilltop, you can see the speed they pick up here. In kilometres now in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, already pushing upwards of 190 kilometres now. That translates into the best part of around about 125 miles an hour as they then break their way into the hilltop chicane. And Hill getting a lot closer to the back there, Tardock. Concertina effect applying, of course, but the nature of it being he is braking later and trying to apply that pressure. But as we do leave him for a brief moment, we have had a move from James Stone Bradford on Patrick Gallick. He's moved up into 9th place there, passing the Austrian driver. These two have been back and forth for some time. How did he get that move done? Here's a quick replay to explain. And this was coming down over the hilltop, too wide. Stone Bradford on the inside, Gallick on the outside, breaking into his lops here. And well, you can defend it outside to inside. Gallick tried to, but he locked up the front right. And that is what led to him losing out versus Stone Bradford. But great battle in between them as we head back to your live racing. Coming back then, Ben Brown chasing after Harry Mason. So Mason's made up 4 places since the start. He's gone from 15th to 11th. He's still got a bit of time to go. 10 minutes on the clock. And Ben Brown would like a taste of another place if he can. Wipers on there for Ben Brown. No, it's not raining. We promise you that. It's because there's debris coming off the back of the car in front. And well, as he makes his way out of the final quarter with a bit of a mistake of Harry Mason, it's going to be too wide to the line as they now go on to lap number 12 of their race. Who's going to lead the way into turn 1? It is going to be Ben Brown here on the inside on the left in the blue and black machine versus the all red, the Dogs machine, the number 17 Harry Mason, who carries the speed around the outside. Mason is really confident in those outside lines, to be fair to him, and the Dogs driver right now really going all in. He shows he's more bites than bark as he rolls his way down through Cascades, but Ben Brown in the end definitely puts the leash on the move and says, no, I'm taking that, thank you very much, and onwards we go. But as Ian Rankin and Julian Rehrberger start to close up to them, could be a bit of a fight between them later on if this battling continues. We could have a 4-way fight essentially for the best of the rest spot in 11th place. They'll be having fun in doing so. But as we look back to Craig Tardock, and Thomas Hill and Philip Moraz, they make the way over the hill. Well, Craig Tardock right now, the number 200 driver, still finding Hill there. Philip Moraz staying close with him. And, well, the Russian driver right now, after starting in 4th place, a season-best qualifying performance, now finding slipping back, and, well, still got some work to do. But can he make his way back into the top 5 before this is done? He needs to pass both drivers in front of him. This is not going to be an easy task for him as he makes his way on through. But heading up the rise, and 9 minutes still left on the clock. The number of laps remaining, our average lap time here has been in the region of 1 minute 47 to 1 minute 48. So doing some quick mathematics, we likely have what is this lap that's about to end and another 4 to go. And well, that's not the best of runs there for Tardock coming out of Druids Bend. Thomas Hill puts the pressure on here. Tardock goes very defensive to the inside. And in the end, Tardock goes a bit deep into the corner, locks up the brakes. And here goes Thomas Hill, then looking at the move. Tardock comes across, elbows Hill, but Hill gets his elbows out as well. They touch twice, they touch thrice, they touch 4 times there, and I'm running out of numbers here as they make the way down. Hill's not giving up, more contact between the two of them, and Tardock in the end really getting his elbows out, going as defensive as humanly possible here, and well, Thomas Hill's not going to be happy about that as Tardock runs wide, and well, Tardock right now definitely get the bit between his teeth, and because he's run wide, he has picked up a slowdown penalty. Now the thing is, he'll have to serve that, he'll have to burn it within 30 seconds, he'll most likely try to do it going through Cascades and on to Lakeside here. He does so Tardock burning that slowdown, and now Hill's going to go to the outside, Morose is going to go to the inside here, it's going to be 3 wide into Island Bend, and well, Hill on the outside here should be the favourite of this move. Morose backs out on the inside, and so Tardock in the end goes to the middle of the two of them. Hill goes to the switchback here to get the outside of Show Oils Bend. He's trying to carry all the momentum high, but Craig Tardock right now really refusing to give in here as they make the way out to turn 5. Absolutely on the limit race there. I definitely think that got a little bit contentious between the two of them going down the start for this straight, and there will be some question marks there as to how vicious the battling was between them. Of course, these Clear Cup cars, they can make contact. We're not encouraging drivers to make contact. We expect there will be some contact, as is the nature of front engine front wheel drive racing. You see it in TCR UK, you'll see it of course in all the sports series in real life, including the mini challenge, and well, you'll of course see it here today in these Clear Cup cars, but that may have gone beyond the limit of what is acceptable contact between the two drivers, and the should maybe taking a look at that one afterwards. But Thomas Hill right now, all he can do is get his head down and try to find another way to get Craig Tardock to make a mistake. He's already made one error, and well, now that he knows he can make errors, well, therefore Tardock having to go even more defensive here as Hill looks the inside into Druids Bend, but Tardock just simply shuts the door in his face and says, no, that's not happening, but he goes wide out the corner as a result, and here comes Philip Morose, looking one way than the other. And the Russian driver here right now trying to go around the outside. And Hill at this point now pinned to the inside behind Twardok, having to essentially push him through the corner to keep Moroz behind him. And Janos Wenzel has closed up here rather rapidly indeed. So suddenly, this is now a four-way fight for 5th place rather than a three-way fight. And well, it's meaning the top four, meanwhile, are 10 seconds away and just getting increasingly disappeared off into the distance. Now, we are seeing some personal best being put down. Tom Davidson and Andrew Pike really packing up the speed. I think they've decided to save all the tyre life to the end of the race right now. Particularly Tom Davidson here. Andrew Pike a further second and a half behind at this point. But can the 57 driver get close? He ran wide out of Cascades, pushing too hard. But the Sim Racing Collective Esports driver would like an opportunity at this if he can. Janos Wenzel, meanwhile, and a better run coming out to Cascades, down Lakeside. And well, the 313 driver here trying to go all the way down the outside. Can he do it versus Philip Moroz? The answer will be yes. And I don't think Moroz right now has got the tyre life ready to back it up on the inside line. A very tight line. And that's going to really hurt the outside edge tyres, the right-hand side tyres in particular. But they roll the way out to the corner right now. And as they do, well, Janos Wenzel on the 313. Definitely doing everything he can at the moment to try and go on the attack. But right now, the Sim Racing Collective Esports driver from Germany, 9 has more hard work to be done. As after he takes 7th place, next up is Thomas Hill, and he still wants a top 5 finish if he can take one. But not forgetting about what's going on further back. We do have Ben Brown chasing after in ranking at 11th place. Harry Mason and Julian Rehberg have fallen back a little bit. So therefore it does seem as though what was a burgeoning quartet for a battle is now actually a duo who are trying to get closer to each other. Particularly Ben Brown would like that place. But Harry Mason isn't going to give up, and neither is Julian Rehberger. Unfortunately from this race we have lost Matt Sheraton after he made a second trip to the pit lane with more damage to the car. Michael Luke Jackson meanwhile is in the pits for the second time, I do believe, due to damage to the car. And so we have gone from 17 starters to potentially what is 16 runners. It may only be, in fact, 15 runners now. So I'm having confirmation in my ear that Luke Jackson is out of the race. They've retired the car. So unfortunate end to the season for him. But 5 minutes to go. And Kieran Sharp right now leading as he makes his way onto this 15th tour of the circuit. And as things currently stand, should Kieran Sharp take the win, he will be your provisional champion. We've done the mathematics. We are 100% confident this is right, and he will be your champion on 102 points to the 94 of Andrew Pike running in that 4th place at the moment. But again, that's the theory. What will the reality be as Patrick Galaxy into the pits with damage to the car? So the missed Apex Motorsport driver, hell, that's going to be a sad end to the season for him. He takes his fast repair, and it's all gone wrong for Patrick Galaxy. Indeed, the second half of the season really has not been a half to shout home about, as there's Andrew Pike right now, I think, struggling for tyre life a little bit. Perhaps he's now starting to hit the cliff of what's possible. Who's going to fall off the cliff then? Well, AJ Borowski. He's now finding the pressure from Tom Davidson. And Davidson is going to have a shot at this. Remember, he wants to try and steal back what would be 4th, if not 3rd in the championship here as they head on through. Indeed, right now, Adrian Borowski, if he was to take that second plus the fastest lap, he would finish none other than 3rd in the championship. He would just pip Hill by 4 seconds at the end. So there's so much on the line here with the back and forth between these drivers. It would complete what's been a brilliant second half of the season for Adrian Borowski to finish in 3rd place, given the fact the first half of the season was not the greatest, but since the midpoint, he has really trended upwards. But again, that's all the theory. We're looking at what happens practically on the circuit right now in reality as they come out to Druids, and Will Davidson getting a bit closer this time. We ride on board with the 42 driver as he gets ready to battle his way in towards the right hand at turn number 14. Is it going to work out here? The answer is no. And instead, Davidson made to wait a little bit longer as he clears Lodge and goes through Deer Leap. Well, right now he'll feel as though, as many of his friends would say, he would be a bit of a ledge or legend in British slang if he was able to make this move happen to Borowski. But it's going to be one thing to think about it, it's another thing to be able to make it a reality. But here comes the run. Davidson gets a better run through Old Hall Corner, looking to the inside into Denton's, and this will give him the outside of Cascades. So it'll be a duel on the brakes here. Here they go for 2nd place. Davidson all the way around the outside here. So Borowski in the end will roll a little bit deep on the corner. Oh, will he? No, he doesn't. And in fact, there Borowski absolutely nails that perfectly, and Davidson was waiting for the switchback. It never truly came. So into the draft he goes, looks out once, and trying to sight up Island Bend. But right now, Adrian Borowski, whatever's happening with Kieran Sharp, well, meanwhile, Adrian Borowski is definitely going to make sure he finishes 2nd today at the least. As they come out of Shoals Bend, well, this is the penultimate lap of the race. We'll have one more to go after this one. And right now, you can see that Borowski and Davidson so entwined with each other. And well, a little bit further back, we still do have Hill, Wenzel, and Morris all chasing after Craig Twardok. We'll take a look at that very shortly as Davidson getting ready to take a look into his laps here, but too far back. Just does not want to risk it. Next time around, he will most likely risk it, given it's the final lap of the season. But here's Craig Twardok. Meanwhile, with Hill, Wenzel, Burrows all glued to the back of him. And right now, they're all stuck with each other here as they head on down. down. But we can see that Philip Moreau is pulling to the racing line immediately. He does not want to be in the draft. He wants full visibility of what's going on into the quarter to try and seize any opportunities. Craig Twardop, meanwhile, leads the quartet through. And right now, in a comfortable place is Craig Twardop, 90's the leader. But Thomas Hill, of course, has tried to knock on his door multiple times. It didn't work out the last time they went side by side down the start-finish straight. They end up almost going to the barrier together. And Hill right now will probably go for it on the very last lap. He won't be pleased with the way that Twardop's working this. Indeed, I'm getting flashbacks here to what was none other while the BTCC eras, and particularly John Cleland essentially trying to go for first, as the saying was, of course, in the late great Murray Walker. And well, that was Soper versus Cleland, and in the end Soper holding on so that Harvey would take the BTC crown back in 1993. And I think Twardop right now is really digging it versus Thomas Hill, who'll probably be sticking up a finger to say he wants to go first as well. But as we see Adrian Broski and Tom Davidson together, well, coming down the hill, this is the final lap of the season for our hot hatches, and as they roar the way down through Cascade, Kieran Sharp right now one lap away from a destiny he's been chasing, and that is the championship crown provisionally. As Andrew Pike, I wouldn't want to say he's thrown in the towel necessarily, but I think the tyres are thrown in the towel, and the 57 driver here may be looking just to settle for fourth and wait to see if any drama happens. But meanwhile, Twardop, Hill and Janos Wenzel, Philip Moreau's a bit further back. Both of them have held them back quite a bit, in fact. Oh, hold up a second. What's happened there? Tom Davidson's got it wrong into Shell Oils, and Andrew Pike moves up into third place. So, change of the foot. And, well, can we get a quick replay of that? I think we can. And here it is. This was Tom Davidson attacking Adrian Broski, going into Shell Oils, carried all the speed, went for the move. Oh, and he came in way too hot on the brakes and went straight on there and just missed clipping the rear of Broski's car. That could have been absolutely disastrous there for what would have been Adrian Broski, but no disaster occurring instead. Only difficulties for Tom Davidson, who's going to have to retire the car with the damage. So Sonny Hill moves up into fifth place, still behind Craig Twardop, however, and this will not be enough for Hill to take the championship crown. But as they weave their way through the corners, well, right now Twardop still holding his ground. Meanwhile, we look to at the front, and here's Kieran Sharp. Adrian Broski 1.4 seconds behind, and as they make the way into last few quarters here, well, right now for Kieran Sharp, it's a clear road in front of him. Of course, he took 3 pole positions this season, but it took until round number 3 for him to take his maiden win. And as he makes his way out of Deer Leap, he's going to leap to the top of the championship because Kieran Sharp wins. And as he does so, Adrian Broski comes home in second, Andrew Pike is third. That makes Sharp your provisional 2026 champion. And Craig Twardop versus Thomas Hill. Who's going to be the first off of the podium? Well, Craig Twardop right now is not the best of runs, and Hill's going to try and go around the outside, but it's not going to work. And Craig Twardop will take fourth ahead of Thomas Hill. Janos Wenzel in 6th place ahead of Philip Moreau's. And then we have to wait 8 seconds to get to James Stone Bradford, who comes on through for one of his best performances of the season in 8th place. Then it is going to be a wounded Tom Davidson, who makes his way to the line with less front bumper and front end on that Clio than I like to imagine. And he comes on through in 9th place then, ahead of Ian Rankin, who completes a run to 10th. Great drive from him on the recovery work. Harry Mason best rest in 11th, and it will be Julian Rehrberger in what is 12th place, 7 seconds ahead. A Tony Preston who comes on through for 13th. Then it will be Patrick Gallick, who today, his day went the wrong way, but still he ends his season at the finish line, and it will be a lap down finish to Ben Brown, who right now still got a lap to complete. But goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what an end to this race we've had. We've got to wait for Ben Brown to finish the race before we can bring you those results, as the only racing drive right now, just taking it easy as he makes his way on through. But for Kieran Sharp, well, that is the win, and well, Adrian Broski, provisional 2nd place finisher ahead of Andrew Pike. We are just double checking numbers right now. The fastest lap, we should point out, did go to Adrian Broski in the end with a 1 minute 47.28. And well, that means Andrew Pike does not take the fastest lap bonus point. And when all is said and done, with Thomas Hill taking that 5th place and Tom Davidson sadly ending things in 9th, well, with all the drop scores accounted for, it would put Kieran Sharp on 102 points to 97 of Andrew Pike. And well, that will be the crown for Kieran Sharp provisionally, as Ben Brown, meanwhile, makes his way on around still. The last man to finish his season on the road. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a little round of applause. He makes his way around, and as he does so, we also say hello to Carbis 3 there, who says congratulations to all those involved, and what an end, and indeed what a dramatic ending to the race. And sadly, it all went wrong for Tom Davidson right at the end with that huge lockup into Shoals. And well, if Adrian Broski had been contacted by that, Andrew Pike would have needed to have got the fastest lap to take the crown from Kieran Sharp. It would have come down to literally a point, but it wasn't to be that way as Ben Brown finishes his race, finishing a lap down there in 50th place. But good to see him get to finish. In fact, not a lap down there, we can confirm. He is on the lead lap, but so far back, the fact it was listed as a lap down initially on our timing tout and on our timing screen, so apologies for that. But the Owners Racing Drive will finish on the lead lap in 15th as we do look to the scenic view and with it to your race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries. And what a epic race to complete the 2026 Sim Racing Collective Hot Hatch Trophy here at the Oulton Park circuit in the United Kingdom. Round 5 of 5 saw Kieran Sharp take his third, well in fact his second win of the season, and with the number 23 driver taking the crown, and well, the provisional crown until all points and stewards' inquiries are done, of course, we must emphasise that, but he is your provisional 2026 Hot Hatch Trophy champion. Adrian Broski second there, and well, second place once again, 2 second places, not a win this season, but still pushing at Kieran Sharp every step of the way, and Andrew Pike completes that podium there, and will be your runner-up for the championship season. After coming into this round on top for that third place, the Sharps win, it's not going to be enough for Pike to be able to seal the deal. Craig Todd up there put up the most stoic defence possible versus Thomas Hill, holding on to that fourth place, and Hill, understandably, will be fuming at the fact he had to try and batter down a wall that would never come down in the end, although the two of them did get very familiar with each other, and that might be under scrutiny from the stewards, but beyond that, unfortunately for Thomas Hill, not the way he wanted it to end, but it will mean that Thomas Hill is going to be in your fourth place finish in the championship provisionally, given that Adrian Broski, taking that second place and the fastest lap, will jump ahead of him to third. However, that is provisional. Janos Wenzel, sixth then, ahead of Philip Moroz. Fighting hard, Janos Wenzel moving forward in the second half of the season, really enjoying his racing. And Philip Moroz, after a season-best qualifying performance, only managed seventh. But again, a great result for the Russian driver, given how far he's come since the start. James Stone Bradford, eighth ahead of Tom Derriton with his late incident. And then we did see Ian Rankin complete the top 10 after the open lap incident between him and Ben Brown that was triggered off, of course, by Craig Todd's car going a bit wayward, we do believe. Harry Mason was best dressed in 11th ahead of Julian Rehrberger. And then we did see Tony Preston, Patrick Gallick and Ben Brown complete those who finished the race on the lead lap. And then, unfortunately, we did see the retirements of Michael Lou Jackson and Aztec Racing's Matt Cheverton. But what a race, ladies and gents. Indeed, a phenomenal race between all our drivers. And as our circuit goes silent, well, we're going to go silent for only a couple of minutes, but we'll be back very soon for some post-round interviews for our drivers in the Hot Hatch Trophy Series. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's time to kick off our post-round interviews. And firstly, we're going to come to none other than Thomas Hill, who gets ready to join me in the interview room after a tough race to end this season. Thomas, good evening to you. What a tough race for yourself. I mean, it was all tied to yourself and Craig Toddock in the end, but a way to end the season with plenty of battling.
Yeah, I mean, it's close racing. There was a lot of contact, although it be not the worst thing. But yeah, I mean, it was a hard race. Well done to the championship winner, of course. It was a good fight for the championship, but we'll see where it takes us in the future.
Well, indeed, the championship not quite going your way, but to be fair, you've had a phenomenal championship game. We'll talk more about that shortly. But talking about Oulton Park here, qualifying 7th place, perhaps one of your weaker qualifying performances of the season. Is this a circuit you've not been gelling at, perhaps?
I mean, I didn't do too much practice. I've had a quite busy week, so yeah, I mean, definitely needed to do more practice. But that's what happens in racing. Practice is key, but you know, we move on.
All very true, so perhaps not the time to practice, but in the race we did see you fight your way forward from the start and having to make some good moves, including a lovely move early on versus Janos Wenzel.
Yeah, I mean, to get the move done early was one of the best chances I had to get to that front pack, but yeah, after it all started, like, battling and constantly defending, they just drove away from us, so there's nothing I could really do.
Oh, indeed. And well, we did get to see that brilliant fight between yourself and Craig Todd, although very elbows out. I mean, it looks like the two of you were going to see who could get to the pit wall first in the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of racing, you know, contact does happen now and then. There was a couple of times that it was a bit unnecessary, but, you know, there's nothing you can do about it now. The race is over, so...
All fair play. And looking back on your season, we do believe you've provisionally finished what is 4th in the championship, just being pipped to 3rd by Adrian Borowski by 3 points. But what would be your highlight of the season?
Probably Oulton Park, where I won to drive away and, you know, just keep a lead for the whole race. It was quite a good race.
It was a phenomenal race from yourself. And just before we do let you go, I'd like to ask, have you got any plans in terms of upcoming series we should keep our eyes out for you for?
Currently not, no. I mean, I currently race with 0 points, so some events of them, hopefully, and hopefully qualify for the Motorsport UK F1600 thing.
Oh, well, we'd definitely love to see you on the grid for the Motorsport UK FF1600 series. We'll talk more about that later on the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, Thomas, with that, congratulations on your performance today. Not quite the way you wanted to end the season, but I'm sure we'll see you on the grid in the future. Until then, have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you.
So hearing there from Thomas Hill, understandably having a tough day today with the battling back and forth between himself and Craig Toddock, and talking there about the fact that some of the battles were perhaps unnecessary, but he had to try and get those moves done quickly, as we do see that little moment with Philip Morose that saw Craig Toddock being able to sneak ahead, and we're looking to get back on the grid and qualify for the Motorsport UK Esports FF1600 UK Championship, which that will be coming up later this year, and we'll tell you more about that in due course. But ladies and gentlemen, we now come to our next interviewee, and as we do so, well, we're now going to be coming to the man who has finished run-up in the championship. It is none other than Andrew Pike, who I now have the pleasure of joining me in the interview room for a quick interview. And as we say hello to him, Andrew, good evening to you. 2nd place in the championship, not the result you're perhaps looking for today, but you gave it everything in the end.
Yeah, I mean, not what I was looking for, no, but at the same time, when you look at the pace and who deserves what, Sharpie was miles off out in front. I never really got to grips with that today. Tom very nearly handed me it on the last lap. I don't know if that was caught in the broadcast. But,
it was.
Previous to that, I think I'd have been very, very fortunate to have picked that up there. I just didn't really have it today. I wasn't comfortable. So yeah, like you say, I put everything I could into it, but never really settled in, which is how it goes sometimes, isn't it? Sadly.
Oh, indeed. A tough one for yourself. Well, we normally see you a little bit more settled, and we got to see you try to chase after them, but did the tyre life sort of go against you towards things? You had this period where you did pick up some time, and in Sunny, you just slipped backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I might have gone a bit too hard on the front, so I can't really tell. As the wear doesn't give it away that much. My fronts were pretty worn at the end of the race, looking at the data, but I just couldn't get comfortable. I moved the brake valve around trying to get a bit more movement on the rear of the car, but there wasn't really enough grip to properly feel settled. So I probably used a bit more front tyre as well at that point, and trying to sort of balance the car a little bit. In which time I dropped out of the tow. Tom had unbelievably good pace when he hooked it up, which meant he dropped me when he got it right. I just had to hope that him and Adrian would fight. Once Adrian dropped off the back of Sharpie, I had to hope that those two would fight and let me catch up. But even when he was looking for moves, I still couldn't really make any inroads there. Just didn't quite have it. But as I said, it's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? It was good fun.
Oh, indeed. And that's what it's all about, having good fun. And looking ahead to the future now, run up in this championship, can we expect to see you on an upcoming grid perhaps? Or what should we watch out for you for in the future?
Well, that's a question, isn't it? I mean, a little birdie tells me that the next gen touring cars might be starting again soon. So I'm sure you'll see a handful of us in and amongst that. Plus anything that we put on ourselves. TSRC, there'll be some new leagues coming up after this, so you can expect to see me amongst some of it. I'm also sort of partially involved in the F4s on a Wednesday. I won't make all the rounds, but you'll see me in a few of them.
Oh, fantastic. We'll definitely keep our eyes out for you there and across that multitude of series later on this year. Well, with that, Andrew, we'll have to call it there. Congratulations, Dave, for finishing on the podium. Not quite the crown, but runner-up in the championship provisionally. But we'll see you on the grid in the future. And until then, have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, mate. All the best. Speak soon.
So here and there from Andrew Pike, ladies and gentlemen, and understand just not working out for him today, losing out early on and could not match the pace of Tom Davidson. But as he said there, almost was handed it with Tom Davidson's major error on the final lap, but it wasn't to be. But happy with his achievements and looking forward to plenty more racing in the future. Now, we'll give you a quick recap firstly of who we have spoken to with regards to our interviews, ladies and gentlemen, because we have had two conversations, one with Thomas Hill and one with Andrew Pike, and we're great to speak to both of them there. Commiserations to them both for missing out on the championship crown, given the fact they've just fallen that little bit short as of this season finale. And, well, to fill you in with regards to our championship, well, here are the provisional standings, ladies and gentlemen, after a grand total of what is none other than 5 of 5 rounds with drop scores applied. And as we can see, as we look all the way back up to the top, Kieran Sharp has provisionally taken the Hot Hatch Trophy for 2026, as brought to you by the Sim Racing Collective, by 5 points ahead of Andrew Pike. Adrian Brasky sneaking his way into third just at the Thomas Hill on 90 to 87, and Tom Davidson completing that top 5 there, and that brilliant 5-way fight for the championship crown, with Craig Twardock, Janos Fenzel, Ian Rankin, Philip Morales and Patrick Gallick completing the top 10. A huge thank you to all the drivers for taking part in the 2026 Hot Hatch Trophy. It's been brilliant to host this. We've absolutely loved every bit of action from our support series. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, now coming up is none other than our main event. We need to get ready for it. So here's your schedule to look at as we get ready for our final event of this calendar campaign for the Rookie Sportscar Cup, because it is round 5 of 5 of the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup here at Oulton Park. Qualifying coming up in just under 2 minutes' time. We'll be right back to bring you all the action. And we are back, just like that, ladies and gentlemen. As quickly as we finish our Hot Hatch Trophy support series, we are back now for the main event for round 5 of 5, the season finale here at the Oulton Park circuit of the Motorsport UK Esports 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup, as brought to you, powered by the Sim Racing Collective and supported by our official prize partners of FINALE and Simagic. 2 races separate our drivers from their finishing positions at the end of the championship, but who exactly will be our champion? Well, we'll come on to that very shortly in terms of how the standings stand going into this finale. But of course, let's give you a reminder of what is up for grabs here as our drivers make the way into their qualifying session for the final time today. In terms of those prizes put on by official prize partners of Simagic and FINALE, well, for our winner, of course, it is the absolutely highly coveted Simagic Zeus Sport Wheel, including the Magic Dash, plus a pair of FINALE gloves. Now, the FINALE gloves, of course, everyone absolutely loves them. Brilliant materials made out of, indeed very comfortable when you're gripping the sim racing steering wheel, and whether it's for a short sprint or full-on endurance race, you couldn't ask for a better set of gloves to make you feel comfortable behind the wheel for the longest possible time that you do need to go racing. And some of the finest materials out there they're made from. But what about the Simagic Zeus Sport Wheel, including that Magic Dash? Well, to tell you a little bit about that, indeed, this is the ultimate prize. It's just been added to the Zeus lineup at Simagic. It is the perfect choice of road racing or rally, offering a dual suede and stitched leather design. First place takes home the Zeus Sport, coupled with Simagic's new Magic Dash, a touchscreen that mounts to the wheel or wheelbase with full support for SimHub, and enables you as a driver to get key data whilst you race at a glance, like lap deltas, fuel, all without taking your eyes far from the road. As for the runner-up prize, our second place finisher will be taking home the Simagic GT Neo wheel, plus a pair of FINALE gloves. And talk a little bit about the GT Neo wheel, where it's the most popular wheel at Simagic for a reason, as it delivers that pro-level feel racers want. 4 RGB lighting, thumb encoders, and silent shifters were double clutch included as standard, all at a price on the market that punches well above its weight. But don't overlook the third place prize either, and this is something that a lot of drivers will be pushing for as well, and that is, of course, the pedals. The P700 pedals from Simagic that give you pro-level adjustability, well, 150kg load cell brake included as standard, and easily expandable via Simagic's best-selling haptic reactors. Great for being an ABS or traction control. The P700 pedals offer fine-tuning you'd expect from rigs costing far more. And that's our prizes for our top 3 finishers. But remember, there is also a raffle prize up for grabs. One driver selected at random from all the drivers who compete in all 5 rounds will be taking home a set of FINALE gloves. So plenty of prizes up for grabs. And indeed, even if our drivers aren't going to be taking home whereas any of the top 3 prizes, they'll still be chasing after those gloves there, and a very valuable pair of gloves at that to make you feel very comfortable behind the sim racing steering wheel. But a huge thank you to our prize partners for putting forward these prizes, Simagic and FINALE. And let's give you a quick reminder of the rules then before we go to the circuit for the qualifying session that's in progress for our rookies. 10 minutes or 3 laps available in qualifying, whichever expires first. The race itself, 20 minutes in duration, both of them. The first one, they line up as they qualify. The second one, they line up as they finished in race number 1, but we invert the top 8 finishing positions. So the winner in race 1 starts in 8th for the purposes of race number 2. We continue that inversion down to the 8th place finisher, who starts on pole for the purposes of race 2. And those who finish 9th and downwards, you guessed it right, that's exactly where they'll start for the final race of the season. Setups are fixed. This is a fixed setup series. So everyone has the same car out on circuit, and damage-wise, there is a fast repair available should a driver need to use it. In terms of the start, it's a standing start. They've got to launch the Mazda MX-5 Cup car off the line. And as for the instant count, it's 15 instant points for a drive-through, and then every 10 subsequently, they'll get another drive-through. But that sets the scene, the rules and regulations. But of course, to completely set the scene, we need our championship standings. And here they are as they come up on screen, ladies and gentlemen. And how do the standings stand? Well, it is a 3-way fight, but theoretically a 2-way fight in reality between Harry Fletcher, Jaden Innes and Ben Sieber. Let's work our way backwards. The third place man, Ben Sieber, he can in theory take the crown, should both Harry Fletcher and Jaden Innes have a disastrous day. And they would require Harry Fletcher to score barely any points, if any at all, and it would require Jaden Innes to have his worst round of the season. So in reality, it is between Harry Fletcher and Jaden Innes, with the EFR with Rotor Racing Driver in control. And if he scores 43 or more points, he will be champion, Fletcher. We announced it incorrectly on the broadcast last time out as your provisional champion. We do apologise for that. And indeed, that was a mistake on a spreadsheet, but we have fixed all our spreadsheets up, and we can tell you 43 or more points, he could do it in race number 1. Should he take the victory, Harry Fletcher would be your champion. But Jaden Innes, is still pushing hard. But then the big question is, who will be second? Will it be Jaden Ist? Ben Siebert could, in theory, Connor Spruce steal it away, which is likely to be between Innes and Siebert, but never rule out Spruce. He'll be definitely chasing down that third place in the championship. But Max Moronarel has a chance to make his way into third, should Ben Siebert drop the ball, and Finlay Secker and Gabriel Ducha also, in theory, could take away that third place. However, they would need results to strongly go their way. So they complete was the run to 7th place. Behind the Brazilian, it's Mark Martin, the man who had his best results of the season last time out. And then we do see James Rogers and Kelvin Woodhead completing the top 10. And Woodhead always looking bright, no doubt about it, and up for a fight to try and make sure he makes his way into that top 10 spot right at the end of the season, because he is 31 points behind their 9th place man, James Rogers, but in turns, he is only 6 points ahead of Richard Revins, who's coming on strong for Rev Racing. Thomas Stephen, Kira Boylan, Kurt Fawcett, and Anton Gabrowski complete your top 15, with Kurt Fawcett definitely on less points than he expected to achieve this season, but he's still keeping his smiles and trying to push forward as much as he possibly can there in 14th. And then we do have John Shorter, a fan favourite out there. I know there's a few of you cheering on John Shorter, or Mr. JS22, as you also refer to him, and he's in 16th ahead of Richie Holder, with Craig McCracken, Harry North, and Lee Verrutley completing the top 20. Bearing in mind, Harry North and Lee Verrutley have 0 points, and it's also 0 points there for a couple other drivers, including Bivers Lau, Matthew Shade, Lee Barry Allen, and Dave Young. But that's how the standings stand, ladies and gentlemen, going into this season finale. There are no drop scores here in the Rookie Sportscar Cup. Every point counts, and what exactly counts right now when it comes to qualifying? Well, how about this? As well, our second qualifying lap's the majority of drivers, and Finlay Secker right now is looking to be a 10th quicker than Harry Fletcher. It's looking tight, and well, every lap matters in qualifying, because we saw in our Hot Hatch Trophy just how tough it is to overtake around here at Oulton Park, and it's not going to be made any easier in these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. Now, in real life, they do visit Oulton Park as part of the Motorsport Vision Racing on the MSVR MX-5 Cup Championship, and well, that's what we're replicating here as the drivers make the way around. And right now, as Finlay Secker tries to improve his time, he finds an extra half a tenth out there. Now a 47.99. But what about Harry Fletcher? Well, as he makes way onwards, the West Ham livery driver, EFR with Rotor Racing, he's currently second fastest. But look at John Shorter, meanwhile. Is he on course for perhaps his best qualifying points of the season right now? I would say so. I think you'd all agree with me, because this is looking very impressive from him as he makes his way on through the corners right now, coming down through Cascades and right up there in third place. But it won't be impressive. He goes that wide, and that will invalidate his final lap. And for John, unfortunately, he won't be going any quicker in qualifying now. He's invalidated that lap, and he can't get that one back. They only get 3 available, and should they invalidate it, that is it. But as our driver makes his way onwards, Connor Spruce there as well, in a 4th place. He's looking quite impressive, but understandably, he definitely wants a little bit more there to get close to the Shorter. He is currently 4 tenths behind. But it's so tight between our top 3, only 2 tenths separated them. And as Harry Fletcher makes his way into the final quarter, well, it's only fair that we allow our championship leader to give us an on-board lap, ladies and gentlemen, to set us up. So let's jump on board with him as he flies around the Oulton Park circuit. So on his way down towards turn number 1, and as he does so, looks to his left as he's just gone provisional pole, breaking his way through the opening corner there of none other than Old Hall. But as he makes way out there, keeping 2 wheels in the white lines just about, now coming down through Dentons and in towards Cascades, Blind Summit, and onto the brakes there, just as he goes over the bump in the road, and will drags the car through Cascades, that long sweeping left-hander. From off camber, it's now onto the flat as he makes his way past Lakeside, the lake on your left-hand side, which is where it takes its name from, past the Island Hairpin, and then in towards what will be Island Bend, the sweeping left-hander, which is all about lift off the throttle and balance the car on it. Now into a Shell Oils, braking there for turn number 5, braking about 130 metres from corner apex, hit the camber of the corner and abuse the throttle pedal there and the camber of the road as much as you dare, as he now makes his way in towards the curvature of turn number 6. Of course, we're not running the Britain chicane, so therefore he goes straight on at this point. Obviously, he would be on the brakes nice and early there, and that means that our drivers have the opportunity to slipstream their way past each other over the hilltop, the highest point of the circuit on the back end, and now down he comes in towards the Hislop chicane. Looks to his left-hand side, braking out the 100-metre wall, coming all the way down to the second gear, making sure not to touch the tyre barriers. They don't pull any punches, as he makes way from right into left in towards Knickerbrook Corner, the corner named after a pair of ladies' undergarments that were found there when Buster Brown decided to try and demolish the tree to expand the circuit a few decades ago. Well, he now makes his way over the rise, through Clay Hill, and in towards Water Tower, from left into right. Well, right now, he won't be thinking out undergarments Fletcher, he'll be thinking out his braking zone here, making his way through Druids Bend. Now's the first apex. Now, no, he doesn't now. The second apex out, understeers a bit wide, but then And again, Druids can throw the car out there. It's about how you control the car that makes the difference. And now coming in towards that braking zone for Lodge Corner, the final major corner on the circuit, turn 13. Comes through in second gear, gets on the throttle as early as he possibly can. Now through Deer Loop to complete the lap. And what's it going to be for Fletcher here as he makes his way towards the line? Has he got the time lined up? He has gone purple in the opening sector. And the answer is going to be... And for Harry Fletcher, he does not improve. So, in the end, Finley Secker is going to be a provisional pole sitter who did strike back there. And Secker finding that time right at the close. And where it does look as though right now it'll be a Secker and Fletcher on that front row. Can anybody else improve? Ben Sieber, who has been struggling here, he's going 5th fastest at most. We then do see Richie Holder make his round around. And, well, as Richie does disappear and reappear from the ether, well, right now, knowing there's a bit more to be done, perhaps. Mark Martin as well. How about this? This is not good at all for the eyelash machine. As he makes one through, he's definitely got a looker of an MX-5, I can tell you that. This will be his second lap on the board. And what's it going to be this time? He's currently down all the way. In fact, he's not set an actual valid time, and he won't set a valid time. He's been struggling. And Richie Holder, he has got 30 seconds left. He's going to be the last try to get a lap together. He has improved in the first half a lap quite considerably, so he might just be able to put this all together right at the end. As he comes out the corner, runs wide, and that's going to invalidate the lap for Richie, and it hits the tyre barrier. And you could say that's really what is a metaphor for a lot of drivers here. A lot of them have struggled. No lap set by Richie Holder, Mark Martin, Richard Revens or Thomas Stephen out of our 16 drivers. So a quarter of our drivers struggling to qualify well. Harry Fletcher takes the second place spot, but it is Finley Secker who takes pole position as the checker flag comes out on qualifying. Secker takes pole. Fletcher joins him on the front row. John Shorter, the season best third, and Max Moron sneaks his way onto the second row of the grid. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, they now make the way to the grid for the first of 2 races. But how they line up? Here we go as we see them all make the way on, and it is time to find out as all the drivers get themselves in position. Although, I do believe they were having a slight technical issue with our broadcast overlay. We do apologise for that. And we are just refreshing things for you there. And things are coming back together. And here we go then for our grid. And we can see Finley Secker there taking that pole position. And he will be started on pole. And only in the end by a grand total of a 10.5 versus Harry Fletcher, the Drive Lounge Racing and EFL Rotor Racing drivers locking out that front row together. Then we do see... And what is third place? John Shorter. A good lap from him, no doubt about it. And he'll be very happy of that, all things considered. The priority being joined by Max Moron on that second row. Ben Sieber and Connor Spruce line up in row 3 ahead of Kelvin Woodhead and Kurt Fawcett. And then we do have none other than what would be Gabriel Ducha and James Rogers on row number 5 to complete your top 10. Kira Boylan and Jaden Innes on row number 6. And outside your top 6 rows, it'll be Mark Martin and Thomas Stephen, with Richard Revens and Richie Holder completing your starting order of 16 drivers. Now they're all set and absolutely ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. And well, as they all get themselves in position, we do apologise for that replay tag appearing in the top left corner of your screen. And well, we're not quite sure what's happened there, to be honest. It does seem to be some sort of slight technical issue, and we are trying to get to the bottom of that as quickly as we can. And there we go, it has been fixed. Our Sparks in the background doing a fantastic job of making sure everything's working as intended. We could not have any technical faults in our season finale, of course, because we have been building up to this. As the last of our cars get into position, and Thomas Stephen right now getting himself all set. But a brilliant qualifying session over John Shorter. He will start on that second row. And as we look on board from his car, well, the 220 driver here will know that he starts a slight incline uphill. That's why the interesting things about the front 3 rows at Oulton Park, they all start in a small dip and they rise up out of it. So clutch control here is going to be put to the test because you're launching up a hill, and particularly for your pole sitter, Finley Secker, you can see that rise in the road there. But can he pull away and keep this man, Harry Fletcher, at bay? Well, here come the lights, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time tonight. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, firing lights, a jump start in the background, but it's lights out and away we go as they roar the way down towards Old Hall Corner. And as they come on down, well, right now Finley Secker gets the best start. Harry Fletcher, Meal tucks in behind. John Shorter and Max Moron side by side. Black flags for a couple of drivers for jump starts, including Kelvin Woodhead and also, I do believe, James Rogers. Oh, and it's gone wrong there. Ben Sieber gets turned around, but the car rolls off the road, and Ben Sieber doesn't cause a calamity. But as they make the way down through Cascade, well, your top 4 together right now, but Max Moron making the jump there on John Shorter. Further back, we've got plenty of fighting here, but a black flag, remember, for Woodhead, so therefore he will need to come into the pits and deserve a drive-through penalty for jump start in the race, as has been decreed by the iRacing simulator. And as all the drivers make the way up towards what will be Island Bend right now, well, Rogers and Woodhead, they'll be fighting for position, but they'll also be fighting to be the first to get into the pit lane, given they've both got drive-through penalties as they make their way side by side. But as our drivers make the way into a Shellwell's Bend, well, Richard Revens right now, Mark Martin are fighting. Revens, they're going very defensive in the Rev Racing car. Mark Martin looking for a way through, but back to the front we go. And as they make the way over the rise, well, right now Finley Secker defending as much as humanly possible here, and Harry Fletcher, after a dismal day at Oulton Park compared to what he was targeting, he wants that win. If he takes the win, he will be a champion with a race to spare. Otherwise, if he takes second place, it will go the distance. Although keep in mind with Ben Sieber having things go a bit wrong, and also Jaden Innes right now not in the best of starts either. Things are going a bit backwards for both, and in fact, it could be over just like that. But we'll talk about that a bit later. Meanwhile, as we continue to focus on what's here and now, top four bolting away as Kurt Fawcett, meanwhile, sees a bit of action behind him. I think that's Mark Martin and Richard Brevins both having excursions there coming out of Knickerbrook. We'll get a replay of that when we can, as these drivers weave their way on through Drisbane, but Kurt Fawcett started today up into 5th, but battle at the front of the field. Meanwhile, Finley Secker and Harry Fletcher together still. Fletcher thinking about it, but I wonder whether Fletcher right now is taking a bit of a different mental approach this one, because he knows he doesn't need to win these races to become champion. All he needs to do in theory is just simply finish ahead of his rivals, and particularly if they're having a dismal day, which right now Jaden is in 11th, and definitely is having a dismal day, then understanding Fletcher would take that crown very comfortably indeed. But meanwhile, less than comfortable here as the two black machines battle side by side. Kira Boylan versus Gabriel Dutra. Boylan in the end being escorted a little bit wide there. Small touch between them. Oh, goodness me, Kira. And she rejoins. And well, hold up. Kurt Fawcett's had a big run wide there, so it's gone wrong for Fawcett. He rejoins. And as they make the way down through turn number 3, well, Kira Boylan for Motorsport Women right now getting herself back on the tarmac, which we'd love to see. But very easy there. As soon as you get a small tap going through Old Hall Corner, you'll feel it. And indeed, you are forced to understeer wide. It's not the case that you can't control the car. It's the momentum, because that corner is not flat. It's cambered out on the very end of it. But as we do see Kurt Fawcett going on the attack, meanwhile Jaden Innes a bit further behind, the man who can potentially steal away the crown from Harry Fletcher. Right now, this is definitely not looking to be a successful theft, as he holds 9th. Understandably, his target may also be to potentially finish 2nd or 3rd in the championship. Make sure he picks up at least one of the prizes. As Max Veron, by comparison, up in the 3rd at the moment, is definitely keeping his head down. But this quartet staying together, and John Shorter at the moment is surely thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that is not to get too involved. Now, I am hearing that Thomas Stephen, unfortunately, has had a technical issue with his car. So, unfortunately, he wasn't able to qualify, and for Thomas Stephen, will not be seeing the car out there in this race, and most likely not for the rest of the day, which is a sad end to the season for the man who has been plagued with so much bad luck as Thomas Stephen. In fact, as I said earlier on this season, I think it was last time out, I said, I don't know how many ladders that man has walked under and how many black cats have passed him, but I can tell you one thing, surely he needs to have some better luck one day, because for Thomas Stephen, he had the pace to change the podiums and win this season. We saw that at Snetterton with that brilliant qualifying lap, and it's all gone very backwards from there. But meanwhile, coming towards the end of lap number 2, over 20 minutes of racing right now, and your top 4 still together. Kurt Fawcett, he's trying to recover his way up through the field. He's already back up to 8th place at Altitude Esports, and well, he wants more places than that. He's back to where he started, but I think he feels as though he's definitely got in him a top 5 here. But you can see at the head of the run to a 5th place finish, there's Connor Sprucia, 27 driver, being cheered on there by Vinty D. And well, we do see Rich down to 0 there, also cheered on. Oh, and Gabriel Dutra gets it wrong there, coming out to turn 1, and to the barrier he goes there, just dipping those the rear left tyre wide, and we're hitting the barrier there. That's going to be a tow to the pit lane there. That car is going no further, and that's a big knock to the barrier, damage to the front right suspension, and Dutra will now have to get that car recovered and get back out there with the fast repair. As meanwhile, Jaden Innes still battles with Mark Martin. Now they make the way on the lakeside straight here. We can see Mark Martin going to the inside, and we'll get that move done quite quickly. But I think Jaden here thinking about the bigger picture, which is work with the guy in front, and that's going to help you out later on in the race. So an intelligent approach here from Jaden Innes. That might be the way to get this done and to make some steady progress here as the race does go on, to see if that's the way it works out in reality. As meanwhile, Finley Secker still feeding the pressure there from Harry Fletcher. But again, Fletcher, I think, is just playing this smart at the moment and not wanting to fight it too hard. And as the drivers roll the way on through, right now, and just keeping it nice and smooth. That is all part of the game plan here as they head up towards what will be Clay Hill and Water Tower. So for Secker, he's in a position which he's found himself in previously this season, which is leading, but of course he has the pressure of the man who really has led the way all season long. And meanwhile, behind them, Max Veron, the Polish driver here, full of enthusiasm and full of spirit. And right now, what can the Sim IT Esports team driver do? Or the Sim IT team, I should say, not IT there, it's IT. And as he makes his way in towards turn 13, what can he do to try and find his way in amongst the top 2? Can he potentially steal away a second or even the win? Add another win to his collection. Well, in doing so, find a way to essentially give himself a good chance of finishing 3rd in the championship. Now, we have had Kelvin Woodhead. He's making his way out of pit road. There he is at the bottom of your camera. Although, sadly, with the way his race has gone, that does put him now the best part of a lap down. And he'll latch onto the back of this lead group here, but he will not have an opportunity really to unlap himself unless they should have the mother of all instants, all 4 drivers. But Kira Boylan, As Kurt Fawcett for close company. Fawcett right now really going on the attack here. Boylan goes defensive into Cascade. First it gives her a bit of a tap on the rear there. And I think Fawcett just been caught out with the fact Boylan decided to break across the apex of Dentons to go to the inside of Cascade. So Fawcett falls back quite a bit as we ride on board his gyro camera. And you suddenly see by being caught out like that gap has opened up from what was no more than 3/10 of a second back to a whole second as they come through. But right now the altitude at 3M Esports driver having to reset and get himself ready to go once again. He knows he's got the pace. So in his mind, he's got to believe to himself this battle will come back to him in due course. However, that is the hard part, of course, having the mental fortitude and the concentration levels to think it will come back, and it hasn't come back to you just yet. As he heads over the hilltop and closing that gap little by little. Jaden is still following Mark Martin, but he did let Martin go in the end after Martin went for the move. And well, the thought process is that these two trying to work together to close up to Kurt Fawcett. And well, right now, Mark Martin has already closed 3/10 down on Fawcett and Boylan on the previous lap. And on this lap so far, he's closed down half a second. So there's some theory in this. And Jaden Niss might be playing the smart card here to bring himself back into contention for what could be potentially a top 5. But as we do see, Connor Spruce being chased by Kira Boylan. Well, he's opened up a bit of a gap to Boylan, in fact. As you see, Kelvin Woodhead behind. And Spruce in 5th place right now. A bit of a lonely 5th place as he tries to chase after the leaders. But as our leaders make the way to the end of lap 4, well, Finley Secker still leading, but coming up behind there, the car of Richie Holder. And I do believe that this is essentially going to put a lap on Richie in the purple and black machine. And Finley Secker is going to be the first to encounter him. As Holder goes very wide there, coming out to Old Hall Corner. Makes it as easy as possible for everyone to come on through. I think that's by design there from Richie Holder, to be fair. Well done to him for a good awareness as he does rejoin there. And now coming in towards Denton's, he's going to Sunny Find, but Connor Spruce is going to make his way into him. But Spruce is going to be a bit careful there as he goes very deep into Cascades. I think he got caught out by the bump in the road as you come down from Denton's to Cascades and calls the car to understeer. And well, I think that was all in reaction to seeing Richie Holder there, but he does make his way around the outside of him in the end. And well, we do look a bit further back to Kira Boylan. And well, Kurt Fawcett now within half a second once again. As quick as that, he's caught back up and getting ready to attack. But as he tries to do so, 3.5 seconds behind is Mark Martin. And Martin has taken a whole second out of the 2 in front on that previous lap. So the Hungarian driver right now can see there's a chance for 7th and 6th. Whether there's a chance for 5th place or not, we're not quite sure. But either way, should he finish in 8th right now, he will be your pole sitter for the final race of the day and indeed the season. But Kira Boylan and Kurt Fawcett come back to over hilltop they go. And Fawcett here with the overspeed and the side toe. Well, it's onto the brakes, they're going to his lots bend here. And as they come into the chicane, of course, it's going to win that battle of the brakes. Scoops his way around the outside to the inside. Classic move there from Kurt Fawcett ahead of Kira Boylan. And just like that, moves into 6th place. A lovely bit of work from him. And we've also got a bit of a move coming here from Kelvin Woodhead, who's going to catch Richie Holder napping potentially here as they go for a Walter Tout. They are a lap down. And a bit of a touch between the two of them as they go into Druid. And Woodhead in the end gets that inside line. But a very scary moment there between both of them. That could have gone very, very wrong, but not quite so. As they carry on. Meanwhile, we look back to the front. And Vinny Secker still bringing Harry Fletcher with him as we head towards the halfway point of this race. And still more to come between them, as I believe Kira Boylan and Kurt Fawcett are actually still fighting each other. We will get a look back at that shortly. So much action going on right now. We'll try to pick every little bit we can out of it as they make the way down towards turn number 2. Finley Secker still holding a 3/10 of a second gap to Harry Fletcher as Kurt Fawcett still on the back of Kira Boylan there. But there's the confirmation they have swapped the places back. And then Jaden Innes under pressure from Mark Martin. He's found his way past Martin. And now Innes here trying to defend. But Martin's going to run around the outside of him. Too wide to come down in towards the right hand of Denton's. Right now, it's going to be Mark Martin moving back into 8th place. They're just like that. Great racing between them. Kira Boylan once again under pressure from Kurt Fawcett. Fawcett looking for the inside here, in towards Island Bend. And, well, Boylan on the outside there. Fawcett the inside. Squeeze the door shut. A little bit of a wobble there from what is Boylan's car. And so, Fawcett will try to capitalise as best he can. He's really working hard right now, is Kurt Fawcett for Altitude 3M Esports, to try and make this move happen as he powers his way along through the curve of 6. But here he picks up the draft. Standing 5/10 of a second back at this point, trying to close that gap little by little. And he's still got half the race to go here. He can't get impatient as much as he wants to do so. He does need to bide his time a little bit. But as they make the way in towards his lots, we make our way back in time to see exactly what happened at the start of the race. So this is when we did go green flag racing, and there was the jump start you saw briefly from Kelvin Woodhead, and also the jump start there from, I do believe one of the other drivers. So in the end, it went wrong for both of them. But as we went green flag racing, well, it was a good start there from Finley Secker, getting clear. But Max Moron was the one who had the better launch off of the first 3 rows. And only started in 4th place. Quickly snuck up the inside of John Shorter as Ben Sieber tapped Shorter on the rear. And that's what sent Sieber on around. So a mistake there, a costly one, as Connor Spruce took some brilliant avoiding action. This is what it looked like from on board Connor Spruce's perspective. And so making his way into that corner, we briefly lost Spruce to the ether, and then he came back. And well, there Sieber went round, and Spruce had to make a very late call there, just threw the car to left, and then straight in the steering wheel, and just managed to get that rejoined. And I think that will be considered the safest rejoin he could have possibly done there, to be fair to him. But it did put a split in the field. So that was the drama that happened right at the start between them. And then we did have what was a bit of difficulty for Richie Holder. And this was Richie making his way over Hilltop. At the time, chasing after the car of Jaden Innes, that had already fallen down the order. And went for a bit of a move. What exactly happened to him as he went on the brakes? Oh! He went onto the brakes there, and the car locked up, and he had to pull it to the right, otherwise he would have collected other cars, and went straight into the tyre barrier there. So Richie Holder, not the way he wanted it to go whatsoever. We then did have this for Richard Revins as well on the open lap. And this was Revins make his way. Well, we had somebody get it wrong there coming out the corner. And I believe that was... Ooh, good speed. Mark Martin, Richard Revins coming together. And the car that went wrong there was Kelvin Woodhead. What did that look like from Mark Martin's perspective? Just came out the corner, went for the move then, looked to the outside, and the Rev Racing machine comes across. I think there was a bit of panic there from Revins, to be fair, as we did see Kelvin Woodhead rejoin. 3 wide's possible there, but you've got to be experienced in that 3 wide. And I think his rookie experience there definitely showing what's going wrong. And to be fair, that's not to be rude about him. It can catch drivers out there in such a 3 wide situation. Kurt Fawcett on lap number 2, he had it all go wrong here through Old Hall Corner, hit the apex curb, and forced himself wide. As then we did see Connor Spruce, Kira Boylan, and Gabriel Dutra all get involved. We caught that, but not what Fawcett did to get things very wrong. And then we did see this back and forth only moments ago between Mark Martin and Jaden Innes. This was on lap number 3. And this was between the 2 drivers. They made the way out of turn 1. Gabriel Dutra recovering the car. But as they made the way onwards in the end, well, Jaden Innes coming down. Well, getting it comfortably clear. But whilst we're looking at this, we've had some drama for Harry Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen. And this was just a moment ago on lap number 7. So Harry Fletcher was just in front at this point. Went into the... Ooh! Fletcher going straight on there. Well, that's completely unexpected. And what's happened to the EFR with Rotor Racing driver? Well, the car parking up hasn't towed to the pit lane, but brakes on there. Something wrong with Harry Fletcher's car, and we head back to your live racing. Is he still there at the moment? No, he's going now. But the EFR with Rotor Racing driver having some sort of technical issue there and having to park the car up. And, well, completely unexpected, but suddenly what was looking to be a 2nd place, and with it, a chance at the championship. Well, we've had confirmation there from Sky and Mayonnaise saying gas pedal failed, so that explains it. Thank you there, Sky and Mayonnaise, coming in clutch in the YouTube chat, and we'll really appreciate it. If any of you, by the way, tune in, do have any insights or any information that we can use in this broadcast that you're aware of, do feel free to share it, because at the end of the day, sharing is caring, and we care a lot about making sure we know the full story of our Rookie Sportscar Cup drivers all the way to the finish. But that explains it then. He's had the issue with the pedal. He did mention, to be fair, that he's been having some issues in the build-up to a couple of these rounds, including the last 2 rounds, and that issue now materialising. And surely we're not going to see this championship come down to a gas pedal, essentially, or a throttle pedal for a driver. I mean, to be fair, championships have been won and lost on worse, I can tell you that. But right now, if so, that is going to be absolutely gut-wrenching. But with it, Finley Secker now leads comfortably. Max Ron sits in 2nd place, meanwhile. And meanwhile, we do see John Shorter now up into 3rd place. And the 220 driver here, well, given the fact he's only had 1 podium this season, and that podium, of course, being none other at Rudskogen, was that absolutely legendary 3rd place finish in race number 2 of the day. In fact, was it Rudskogen? No, it was Oschersleben. The 2 circuits very similar in their design, and that's why I'm getting flashbacks to the wrong circuit, but the right theme. But either way, right now, well, John Shorter definitely in a very happy place. Behind him, that's Gabriel Dutra is a lap down, and then Connor Spruce right now in 4th place. But the privateer makes his way onwards, and as he does so, the 27 driver has the growing presence, perhaps, of Kira Boylan's trying to chase him down. Kurt Fawcett there behind as well, and these drivers roaring the way through the corners. But as they come through turn 1, well, right now, Kurt Fawcett right there, and looking to attack once again, but Boylan doing brilliantly, and she's really, right now, chasing a great result. In fact, should Kira Boylan take this 5th place, it would be her best result of a championship campaign. And given the pressure that Kurt Fawcett is applying to her right now, well, this could go either way at this point, but definitely it's going to be a bit of a story between these two. I think Boylan will be very happy to be in such a position, and she's really come out all guns blazing here as Gabriel Duke just steps aside, obeying the blue flags, and Kurt Fawcett comes on through that inside line as well. Great awareness from all drivers involved there, and we're making sure not to make any contact with each other, and also that the racing carries on in completely free flow. As they roll out to the corners right now, and up in towards what will be the turn number 6. We're powering their way down the stretch. Right now, Kurt Fawcett all over the back of Kira Boylan as they head in towards what will be the Hislop chicane once again. But Fawcett looking to the outside this time with 4 minutes go. Touch the grass! Oh no! And Boylan almost being sent to the tyre barrier there. Well, Kurt Fawcett coming in with a head load of speed, but Kira Boylan has to take evasive action. Goes the grass. She will pick up slowdown for it, but to be fair, it could have been far, far worse. And there, I think it was just simply Kurt Fawcett trying to break into a space that was closing. And well, in the end, touching the grass and the car cutting loose, but it could have been far, far more disastrous for both drivers involved there. Fawcett now does drop down all the way to 9th place. He won't be too pleased about it, and it does mean that Mark Martin, Jaden Innes and Ben Sieber have all snuck into the space. And in fact, as Kira Boylan now has to serve a slowdown penalty for cutting the corner there at Hislops. Whether she was pushed to do it or not, that's beside the point when the iRacing shooting system is concerned. If you cut the course, you've got to give the time back, and Boylan right now will definitely have to try and hold on, and she does try and burn that slowdown, does so coming out of the Lodge corner, but that's going to enable Mark Martin to move up into 5th. Or will it here, as that's going to be Jaden Innes now side by side. Here they go then in towards turn number 1. Martin on the inside, Jaden Innes on the outside here, coming through, and Mark Martin holding on the eyelash machine for now. But understand Jaden Innes wants this, but as they come charging through, and well, we do say hello there to the Easy Flat Racing Team YouTube account, confirming what Sky Mayonnaise was saying with regards to Harry Fletcher earlier on, and did so many of you tune in right now, which is so great to see. We also say hello to Olka9290, who is cheering on John Short, the man who's running in 3rd, and well, all these drivers right now really putting on a great show. There's been a bit of drama, understandably, but those out there running still, giving it their all, which is what we love to see. Jaden Innes and Kira Boylan then getting back into the fight. Ben Sieber as well, he suddenly finds himself. It was the spin right at the start of that tiny tap to the rear of Max Moron's car, which really propelled him around rather than the man he did tap. Well, right now he's back up into 8th place here, and he would be a pole sitter for our final race of the season if things were to stay as they were. I don't think he's going to quite believe this right now when the team states on the radio at DCW Racing. Ben, just hold your ground right now. You will be safe. As he comes down the hill and in towards the Hislop chicane. But as he does, the number 26 driver right now definitely keeping his head down to the ground and on his way through those corners. But still some time left in this race as our leader, Finley Secker, makes his way through turn number 13 for the penultimate time in this race, most likely, although it's going to be very close here. Are we seeing a white flag? Yes, we are. So Finley Secker, as I look at my quantitative window, is on to the final lap, and one more journey between him and the finish in this one, and with it, understandably, it is going to be for Secker a result that's up there some of his best this season. He had the win in the sprint at Oulton Park, and this will be his 2nd sprint win of the season. Of course, we always refer to the first race as the sprint, and then the 2nd race as the feature, and right now, trying to hold on just for a little bit longer. The Drive Lounge racing driver keeping his head down here with Max Moron, the SimIt Esports racing team driver, 4 seconds by. Not on the pace of Secker, but able to keep enough distance to John Shorter. And well, for Max Moron, it is going to be a result. And that will become none other than his 4th podium of the season, and it will be his second place finish, tying with his 2nd place finish at none other than what was the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben race 1 or the sprints there. As he comes out to the corner and makes his way around, right now all the battles seem to have calmed down for now. However, will there be any more twists in the tail here right at the end? We've had some dramatic moments, we've had some huge changes, and perhaps the biggest one, of course, was Harry Fletcher to bark up and resolve his throttle pedal, and since getting it resolved, he is now in 11th place here. That's where he's going to start for race number 2, but for Fletcher, the wheels falling off the proverbial bus here right at the end for the 66 drive. Well, the upside of all this is that his main rival of Jaden Innes is on course for 6th at the moment, so theoretically Harry Fletcher is going to see his lead shortened, but not by much. But it won't matter to this man, Finley Secker, 6th in the championship coming into this round, for as he makes his way Out the last couple of quarters, only one more corner to go before he does see what will be the checkered flag and his second win of the season. He makes his way through, and he does so, taking pole position and withstanding the pressure of Harry Fletcher. And for Finley Secker, it's a huge achievement at Oulton Park. He goes on to take his second win of the season for Drive Lounge Racing, and as he does so, Max Moran comes on through for his fourth podium, another second place, and then John Shorter makes it only his second podium of the season to go with the one at Oschersleben, the privateer. Connor Spruce comes on through to fourth place, a brilliant drive from him. A lap down behind will be Kelvin Woodhead there, finishing 12th. And then we will see 11 seconds behind Mark Martin coming through adversity to come through in fifth place and bringing with him Gabriel Dutra a lap down. Jaden Innes there, but look in the rear of the picture. It's going to be a drag race to line, and is it Ben Sieber or is it Kira Boylan? And it's Ben Sieber who takes 7th place. Kira Boylan at 8th will take your pole position for the final race of the season. And Kurt Fawcett takes 9th in the end, recovering there after what was a chance at a top 5. James Rogers completes the top 10 after a difficult start, but the 42 driver definitely returning to the fray after that drive-through penalty as well, no doubt. And Harry Fletcher will be your last to finish this race on the lead lap. We also did have Richie Holder finish as classified a lap down off camera, but meanwhile we do see Harry Fletcher heading towards the line here, 11th place. And well, goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a challenging race, no doubt about it. He'll still be your championship leader, but know that his advantage has been cut as Vinny Secker celebrates. And well, we do look to the scenic view as we now make our way into the warm-up period in preparation for race number 2. And as all of our drivers get themselves set for that race, we now take a look at the results subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they are from race number 1. And as we can see in the first of our 2 20-minute races here for our season finale of the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup, brought to you as powered by the Sim Racing Collective here at Motorsport UK Esports and supported by the official prize partners of FINALE and Simagic, Finley Secker taking his second win of the season for Drive Lounge Racing by 5 seconds ahead of Max Moran for Sim It Esports Racing Team, and John Shorter completing the podium there. His second podium of the season. Max Moran's second place of the season, his 4th podium as well, and all 3 drivers will be absolutely jubilant on the podium. Connor Spruce, 4th there, not quite on the podium, but to be fair to him, gave it everything he could to be on that podium and earn himself a top 5 at the very least. And Mark Martin coming through the field to finish in 5th place, the Hungarian, just ahead of Jaden Innes, who took 6th. And then it was 7th place of Ben Sieber, ahead of Kira Boylan, who will become your pole sitter for the final race of the season after being just beaten to the finish line there by only, I do believe, a grand total of 700ths. And Kurt Fawcett in 9th place will finish there, and that's where he'll start for the next race. James Rogers completed the top 10 ahead of Harry Fletcher with his damaged throttle pedal, and hopefully we get to see him fix that for the final race of the season. We don't want to see it determined, of course, by a throttle pedal if that, but that's the way it can go in motorsport. And it's a lap down there for Kelvin Woodhead, Gabriel Dutra and Richie Holder. And we sadly did see the retirements of Richard Revins and Thomas Stephen, a non-starter due to a technical issue with the car. And well, that was our first race of the day, ladies and gentlemen. But what a race it was. And as our drivers make the way around right now, including Connor Spruce, we're not too far away from going green flag racing once again very shortly. Right now, this warm up here, Spruce definitely keeping his head down and enjoying himself. And well, I don't think we're going to quite be able to bring you the provisional standings after the first race has been completed. But what we can do is talk a little bit about the results and how they've gone. And well, I can tell you one thing, with Jaden Innes just finishing in that 6th place and Fletcher Meal taking that 11th. That gap has been closed. And how much has it been closed by? Well, Fletcher would have picked up 10 points. Meanwhile, we believe Innes would have picked up 24. So 14 points is the delta there. But given that Fletcher has come into this round with a 49-point advantage, he goes into the final race of the season with none other than a 35-point lead. So for Fletcher, it is still technically his to control. We can't say, though, he is your provisional champion, because should Fletcher retire from the race or have an even worse result, remember, points are awarded all the way down to 15th. So in theory, if he was to finish 16th, not that will happen, but if he finished 15th and took a single point, and at the other end, Innes was to take the winner's points or some of the highest points out there, we could see that final swing occur. So we have to go to the final race of the season, ladies and gentlemen, to seal this up. And right now, only 2 minutes left to go before we do head to the grid for one final time. But what a season it has been. Now, of course, we can talk a lot about what is our major championship contenders, no doubt about it, but we also do need to put the spotlight on some of our other drivers out there who put a phenomenal job together. And John Shorter, I can see so many of you really talking about John Shorter doing well to take that 3rd place, and indeed such a phenomenal drive from him, understandably aided, you could say, by Fletcher's incident, and therefore with that being promoted up. However, at the same time as well, John didn't put a foot wrong. He qualified up there, so therefore he has the right to be there when the drive does drop down the order, and well, he'll be very pleased with that. As we do say hello there to Luna Drives a Hyundai. I absolutely love that username, to be fair. That is an absolute jingle. If I've ever heard one for a username, Luna, 10 out of 10 for that username there in the Motorsport UK Esports YouTube chat. Indeed, if we could give awards for you for a username, that is going down as one of the best I have heard. And I don't mean that as a joke, to be fair. That's put a huge smile on my face. On top of already the big smile that I have when the racing here, but the man who's out there at the very front right now for Drive Lounge Racing, Finley Secker. Well, a great drive from him, no doubt about it. And what, can he potentially make it back-to-back wins? Can he take his third win of the season right at the end? Well, if so, could be a huge result to end things on. We'll have to see what he can do. But Scott and Spruce makes his way on around. And right now, keeping it absolutely cool and calm together. Well, we have got the best part of 30 seconds before we do go racing. Once more, and I have just had the provisional standing sent my way, and, well, unfortunately, we're not going to have time to bring them up on screen, ladies and gentlemen, due to the fact we're going to be heading to the grid very shortly, but we can confirm that the gap at the moment from Fletcher to Innes is a grand total of, if my mental maths is correct, 46 points there. So I believe Fletcher might have picked up what was the fastest lap there as well. We are just checking, as Ferrari strategists would say. In fact, no, it is 36 points there. We were right in the first instance. And, well, so it does mean right now Fletcher heads into the final race with a 36-point advantage. We've just had it confirmed. And can he hold on? We will see, as it's time to head to the grid, ladies and gentlemen, for our final race of the season. It's time for race number 10 here in our season finale at the Oulton Park International Circuit for the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup, brought to you by Motorsport UK Esports. And as all our drivers make their way onto the grid for the final time this season, this is how they line up through the top 8 inversion. The results from race number 1. Kira Boylan, the 8th place finisher, takes pole position for Motorsport Woman, joined on the front row by Ben Sieber for DCW Racing. Then it's Jaden Innes and Mark Martin together on row 2, with Connor Spruce and John Shorter on row number 3. Row 4, it's Simit Esports Racing Team's Max Moron, ahead of Finley Secker, your winner from race number 1 for Drive Lounge Racing. Kurt Fawcett will be joined there for Altitude 3M Esports by the privateer James Rogers. And on row number 6 to complete the top 12, Harry Fletcher for EFR of Rotor Racing and Kelvin Woodhead. Behind them on row number 7, it's Gabriel Dooch, the privateer, and Richie Holder. And then we see Richard Revins and Thomas Stephen completing that order. But sadly, we won't be seeing Thomas Stephen take to the grid for this race due to the ongoing technical issue with the Scotsman's number 4 Mazda. And therefore, his season has come to a halt. But as all drivers take their slots on the grid, we're not too far away from green flag racing. We did, of course, have 2 jump starts on race number 1. Some eager beavers out there, unfortunately, being a bit too eager perhaps. And right now we've only got a minute to go before we do go green flag racing for the final time. But as we look from the car of Kira Boylan, it is a long distant run towards turn 1, but can she get the launch? Or will Ben Sieber find a way to make amends after the dismay of race number 1? Can he end his season on a high after the incredible scenes, of course, at Oulton Park when the seas parted around him for that incredible result in race number 2? Indeed, he couldn't quite believe it. Nobody could quite believe it when he came through to second. Well, for all that and more, we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. And with 30 seconds left on the gridding clock, I'm going to take a quick sip of water before my voice gives way. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I've taken my water. And indeed, if you haven't gone to the bathroom now or haven't gone to top up your liquid refreshment, it may be a bit too late. But there's 10 seconds left before we do see those lights come on. Everyone itching to get going. And what a season it has been right now. But who will be our final winner of this season and who will be our champions? Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, because the countdown procedure is complete and on are about to go the lights. In fact, I do believe we're having a bit of a delay with the start lights procedure there. I think we are getting an extra minute being added on. That is just in case Thomas Stephen can get onto the grid. So as we do wait just that little bit longer. Well, of course, for this man, starting the lowest he's ever started a race this season in 11th, Harry Fletcher, the championship leader. All he needs to do is finish close behind Jaden Innes, and he will have this done. But there come the lights, ladies and gentlemen, for the final time. And it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. and it's lights out, and away we go for race 10 of 10 as they roar the way away here at Oulton Park. Everyone's safely away this time. No jump starts from anyone. Everyone's learned from race number 1 as they make the way down in towards turn number 1. All Ben we're looking for the move, but Kieran Boylan defends it well. Further back there we see Finley Second already going in attack, but Max Moron making his way around the outside of John Shorter. Everyone's safely on through the opening bend. Now in towards Denton and the Cascades they come down, and right now Boylan holding the ground as Jaden Iss knows he needs to get to the front of this field, and then just hope that Fletcher can't carve his way through. Contact between him, Seba! Connor Spruce taps the rear of Innis, and they all spread, and it's going to be Finley Second caught up, and suddenly through drama, your big belligerents in the championship campaign are down the order. Oh, there's contact there as well, and I think Jaden Innis has been turned again. And well, so that's disaster for Innis. Couldn't quite see who that was, but I think it was Innis being caught out there. And well, suddenly the path has been cleared for Harry Fletcher as he makes his way around the outside of Kurt Fawcett. But now, can his throttle pedal hold it together for 20 minutes here in the final lap? That is the final question that he needs to find an answer to. If it can't, then it could still change as they make the way all the way onwards, and as they do right now, side by side for Kurt Fawcett and Harry Fletcher as they head over. And remember, for Fletcher right now, not that he knows it necessarily, although the team will probably be on the radio to him, they'll probably be telling him where Jaden Innis is. That's the main threat, and Innis right now all the way down in 14th place, but Fletcher wants to take those places. He wants to end this season on his own personal high, and who can blame him for it? As Gabriel Dutra right now would like an opportunity to go battling as well. Takes a lot of curve there at Nickelbrook corner, and right now the Brazilian driver tucking back in as we had John Short have a bit of a moan at the Hislop chicane, and he's dropped a bit further back down. So John Short has lost out to 11th now as we understand it, but you're right on board with Dutra here as he looks to attack Fawcett and Fletcher in towards Druids. A bit too far back at the moment. He's got Kelvin Woodhead behind him. I could see Kelvin back up there as we look to the rear of Dutra's car, and you can see the man is in the midst of a pack as they get ready to end the opening lap. As they come through the lodge corner, runs very wide as Dutra. In fact, so wide he takes the grass, and that's going to move from Kelvin Woodhead, gets him through. Oh, hold up a second. Kurt Fawcett's got around. I don't believe it. The 113 driver who made his way all the way through the field of race number 1, all for it to go backwards down the order. Well, he set himself back down the order this time, as meanwhile, on to lap 2 we go, and Mark Martin battling his way out the inside of Kira Boylan for the lead there, going through Denton into Cascades. On to the brakes they both go. And as they do, well, Mark Martin right now goes very deep, and Boylan takes the place back. And Kira Boylan right now just driving smart here and simply saying, well, as long as I do the right thing, it's not going to go wrong. So Kira Boylan right now back into lead there, but now here comes Max Moron. And, well, Max here, remember the fact that he has not taken a win this season. He's taken plenty of podiums. He's been third twice, he's been second twice, but he's never been on the top step. Can he hold on here and try and take that final win of the season? We'll have to see what the 89 driver can do. It means so much to him if he can, to be fair to him. As he makes his way onwards, Harry Fletcher, meanwhile, on the back of James Rogers. James Rogers as well with an opportunity here to potentially bring on home his best result of the season, as his previous best has been a 5th place, and that, of course, was in race number 2 last time out at Oran Park, but he would like to see him go full for even onto that podium himself. So right now, with all the chop and change, the drama at the start as well, it's definitely served to mix things up very nicely, as meanwhile, it looks to Kurt Fawcett. He's trying to recover now. John Shorter on the recovery as well, but that is not a healthy or happy looking MX-5 in the hands of John Shorter. And we're understanding right now, I think the 220 driver here has got a bit of a bruise to the car, but we'll have to try and understand what exactly has caused that. And we will try and get a replay when we can, ladies and gentlemen, to explain the story that's happened to him. But back to the front we go. Max Moron looking around the outside. That's brave. Oh, no! And it goes wrong for Kira Boylan. And was that contact there? We didn't quite get a camera angle that showed it. Well, Max Moron's front of his car looks absolutely clean there, but then again, we know that Druids Bend can catch out cars very quickly, but Kira Boylan's race has gone from good to bad to a barrier, and just like that, she has to tow to the pit lane. So disaster for her as we go on to lap number 3. So after 2 laps, it is Max Moron who leads ahead of Mark Martin, followed by James Rogers, then Harry Fletcher looking for a move for 3rd. Then we've got Kelvin Woodhead in 5th place right now, keeping his head to the ground. Gabriel Dutra in 6th. Then it's Finley Second for 4.5 seconds behind in 7th for a car that's missing the front bumper. It's going to be losing a lot of straight line speed, I can tell you that. And then John Short to complete your top 8, head of Richie Holder, and then we do have Kurt Fawcett alongside as Holder goes wide there, drops back to 10th place. Best of the rest of them is Ben Sieber, but as Max Moron makes his way down towards Island Bend, we'll look behind. There you'll see Mark Martin. Harry Fletcher, meanwhile, attacking on the inside there. James Rogers moved into 3rd place now. On to the podium spots he goes. Meanwhile, Kelvin Woodhead looks for a move on the inside of James Rogers. That's not coming forward. And your number 29 driver here trying something. I think also respect to the fact that he needs to build that confidence in the brakes if he's going to try and go for a bit of a cheeky move. Now, as they come through there, I can see many of you asking what's happened to Connor Spruce. We are going to get a replay of some of the big moments on the start race shortly. Spruce, we should point out, is on circuit at the moment, but he is now effectively a lap and a half down. As Kelvin Woodhead makes back the inside of James Rogers. Looking for the move into his slots, and out on the outside here, and will goes a bit too wide there, touch of the grass, but he manages to keep it on the road in the end, and James Rogers has no counter to that, other than the fact, respect to the fact that Kelvin Woodhead making a huge move. But look at Gabriel Dutra, suddenly he arrives on the scene, here he goes, then the 24 driver, looking all the way around the outside, in towards that braking zone they go, he's going to go for a 2-for-1 special here, surely not, Gabriel, you're a madman if you go for that, but to be fair, sometimes you've got to be mad to make the moves happen, and the Brazilian driver tries it, and will credit where it's due to him, he's still on the inside as he makes his way up towards turn 13, in towards Waterby Lodge corner. Gabriel Dutra, I think we've just seen a contender for the move of the season, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely brilliant. Looks at the inside of Druids and says to both James Rogers and Kelvin Woodhead, I'm ready, are you ready for it? And the answer from both of them was no, they were not. As meanwhile, Harry Fletcher getting the better run onto the start-finish straight. On the inside he goes and takes second place over Mark Martin, but Martin's not going to let this go. Rides his rear bumper, and as they go round to Denton's, 14 minutes still left on the clock. See why they come down the hill at the moment, and looking around the outside is Barton looking for the switchback, trying to get that momentum to go on to at Lakeside. But seems like Harry Fletcher may have just got the better run off the corner initially. He pulls over, there goes the inside of Media. He knows what Barton's trying to do. And well, as they go up towards the next braking zone, well, it is going to be their Fletcher going as defensive as humanly possible. And Mark Barton right now, oh, there's a big twitch with the rear Fletcher's car. He's got to be careful right now. He is really playing with fire. Meanwhile, James Rogers and Kelvin Woodhead, they're back in it once again, and there we can see a move from will be Kelvin Woodhead on the inside, but Rogers goes high, using the camber of the road there to maintain the fight. Great awareness from both drivers here. This is what we'd love to see from two drivers who have been stars this season. They haven't always been able to shine as bright as many of the other drivers out there, but right now they are absolutely burning bright as they make the way over Hilltop. In towards that braking zone they come for what will be his lops, and who's going to be the braver of the breakers? It is going to be And James Rogers there just beats Kelvin Woodhead at the game of braking, but runs a bit wide there, doing what Kelvin Woodhead did a lap ago, but that will set him up for a defensive line in towards Micklebrook corner. And suddenly, you look behind, you can see there's the growing presence of Finley Secker with a damaged MX-5, but that damage is not going to hold him back. Secker looking on the inside there, Clay Hill. To Watertown they'll go, too wide behind. Now Rogers here just needs to put himself in the middle of the road to hold this, but Woodhead looks up the inside, tries to do what Dutra did only a lap ago. Doesn't work out there, he doesn't quite get James Rogers to go deep through the corner or back off, and so Rogers will hold that fifth place, and Kelvin Woodhead and Finley Secker right now getting ready for the next exchange. Secker looking up the inside, can he make this happen? He's going to try it with all his might, but the problem is right now, I think that car, given the damage it's got, it's suffered about 10 metres in the braking zones, and that's what's stopping him from being able to look for a move, and he needs the draft there as well. With the aero damage he's got, or with the greater drag on the front of the car, he needs the draft there to equalise the speed. He knows he's the quicker driver in his mind, but he needs to make sure his car's the quicker of the two into the braking zones. John Shorter, 3 seconds by, trying to coast up as quickly as he can. As meanwhile, oh, hold up a second. James Rogers has got around down the exit of the corner. Literally just missed that, and we see the outcome. And the Canadian driver going for a spin, coming out to turn number 1. Well, we just praised him, and suddenly like that, the commentator's curse seems to have struck him. And for James Rogers, falls down to 11th place, and Finley Secker, meanwhile, I think he's had to take avoided action because he's picked up a yellow flag. That's a slowdown penalty. That's what we're finding out on our timing tower here, albeit you can't see it, ladies and gentlemen. We see it here in the commentary booth, but Secker's definitely had to go off track to avoid the wayward car of James Rogers. And for all that and more, we are now going to get some replays of some of the big moments of the race as we do go back in time. So this is where it all started, and Connor Spruce making his way in towards Cascade to the opening lap. But there we did see contact between Ben Sieber and Jaden Innes, and Connor Spruce down state one of the widest lines possible, rally crossing his way back on little by little, Ben in dropping all the way down the order, which then did see, of course, was Harry Fletcher going to a bit of a free wide there, and well, that's with James Rogers and Kurt Fawcett, but he backed it off. But we need the on-board here from Jaden Innes versus was Ben Sieber. So Sieber was ahead, but then they broke the way into the corner. Innes on the inside, and Sieber came across, made contact with the pair of them. And, well, in the end, it was Innes really a passenger in his car. Sieber as well. I'm not putting the blame on Sieber for that one, to be fair. That's what it looked like from that camera angle, but it could look very different from the steward's eyes, to be fair. And that's their job, not mine. But as Innes definitely got it a bit of sideways there, and we'll try to get it back together, was clipped by another car. And this is what it looked like with the camera focused on Ben Sieber's machine. Looks around the outside, that tiny touch between the two of them, and unfortunately there was the clip of the Finley Secker to Jaden Innes' wayward car, and that's how Jaden Innes got caught up with them all. So then the big question many of you will be asking is, what exactly happened to Spruce after all that? And the answer is, this happened to Connor Spruce, so we now fill you in. Well, this was his long escapade off track originally. Right. I think what's happened there is Connor Spruce actually has clipped the rear of Jay Dennis's car, and that's why he's had to go to the pit lane. Plus, also on this grass, the car's been bouncing around there on the undulations, and, well, he has had to come into the pits with the damage to the car, effectively. So Connor Spruce, that explains why he had to come in. He did not avoid it completely. He did actually get caught up in the madness that unfolded. We did have this for Kira Boylan, meanwhile. This on lap number 2 when Boylan was battling there with Max Moron. And, it does look as though there was contact between the two of them in the end. We didn't quite see that at the time, but that camera angle not the best, to be fair. The Motorsport woman driver coming off the worst of the two. This is what it looked like for the rear of her car. We did have the rearward-looking camera and came across it. It's a tiny touch, and... oh, goodness me, I wouldn't want to be on the shooting panel for that one. That's going to be a hard one to call there, because some would argue Boylan cut across Moron as he was trying to exist. Meanwhile, some would argue perhaps Moron should have backed off there. But either way, it has happened. And then we did have, of course, what was this big moment for... what was Fawcett a little bit later on. This was on lap number 1 firstly. Kurt Fawcett having a bit of difficulties going through the right hander of Lodge Bend, and that's what sent him spinning on a round, and well, it sent him all the way down. He had to recover his way up the order, and we also did have this for James Rogers on lap number 5. So Fawcett had difficulty, and so did James Rogers in the end. And it was a small tap to the rear of the car for Rogers coming through Old Hall corner, and the Canadian driver being tapped there by Kelvin Woodhead. I think Woodhead had already committed to the corner exit, to be fair. I don't think there was anything else that could be done as we now return to your live racing. And as we do come back, well, have we missed much on lap number 6, which we have essentially skipped that whole lap? The answer is no, but we are now going to see that Gabriel Dutra was being caught there by Finley Secker, and Secker is going to go on the attack. But can he find a way to make a move happen here for what will be 4th place in his wounded car, and the Drive Lounge Racing driver still trying to make his way back onto the podium if he can. Fastest lap, by the way, in the hands of Harry Fletcher at this time. So Fletcher right now definitely on course to pick up at least that 1 bonus point. I think he'll be very happy if he's able to achieve that. Let's wait and see what the game plan is going to be there for him as they roll the wheel through. But right now for Finley Secker, his thought process will be one thing only, and that is make this move happen, get into 4th, and then see if he can get onto that podium. Dutra goes a bit high, Secker looking low, and too wide the exit the corner here. And Finley Secker, when the doors open to him like that, he's never going to say no to a potential move, and just like that, it's going to be a drag race now, going through the curve of 6, over the hilltop they go. And, well, Gabriel Dutra with the overspeed there, and that's the side draft, but also the fact he's got less damage on his car, or no damage by comparison. And we'll scoot back ahead there, but into the braking zone. Finley Secker goes as late as possible. Meanwhile, John Shorter there, battling up the inside of Kelvin Woodhead. So Shorter's race is not over yet. He still wants some places. A good on John for going for it. Good battle between them. As meanwhile, Richard Revins and Ben Sieber battle their way through. And, well, right now we're getting pairs. The battle's coming in towards Hislop's corner. Well, how about that? As Richard Revins moves into 9th place there, passing Ben Sieber. Sieber carrying on as best he can with the damage to his car. That contact with Jaden Innes at the start. Unfortunate for both drivers, and will both come off and not smelling the roses, to be fair. But right now, Richard Revins trying to get this race turned around. 7 minutes to go plus the final lap, and at the front of the field there is Max Moron, and he was leading by a comfortable margin, but as Harry Fletcher continues to burn that margin down, Max Moron that last lap of 49.45, Harry Fletcher a 48.17, and right now I can imagine it's a throttle pedal probably being held together by tape, I would guess, and typically that's the way it works out if these stories are to be true. And as the British driver makes his way through turn number 3, the EF5 Rotor Racing driver pushing on hard here, and that lap he was a 1.5 seconds faster than anybody else out there. Fletcher's going for this win. He wants to end this championship with a crown jewel, and that jewel is the win in the final race of the season. But he's up against stiff competition. Remember, these two had that instant coming out to turn number 4 over the bridge at Oran Park only a week ago, whereby in the end the stewards did decree it was Max Moron who was at fault for that small touch, and Harry Fletcher had to catch the car before it went to the tyre barrier, and it could have all ended up in pieces. But right now, that's brought under the bridge between the two of them. And Maxwell going defensive there, going over the hilltop. Fletcher's going to look round the outside. But remember, it's outside to inside here. It's a valid attacking position. And he's going to go for it. Moron goes a little bit deeper into the corner there, extends the bend. But of course, that will mean he carries more speed into the second part of his lops and into Knickerbrook. And every time he does that, he is slowing his line down. And also, he's hurting his tyres a little bit more. And Fletcher looks one way, then the other. He's going to be made to look to the inside there for Clay Hill. And that means Watertown now. He's got the inside. He'll be on the outside of Druids Bend here. Can Fletcher commit all the way around the outside. This is going to require trust in between himself and Marod, and in the end, Fletcher goes for it, and Max Marod tries to fight it, but Harry Fletcher in the end says, I'm inevitable, and he moves on through, so Fletcher into lead, but now will we see a counter-attack here from Marod coming in towards Lodge Corner? He'll know that right now he needs to attack sooner rather than later if Fletcher's pace is any indication of how quickly he could break away. And the EFR Road to Racing Drive takes the lead, and right now, this would be a result that, as we understand it, would provisionally make him your 2026 champion ahead of what would be, I believe, still Jaden Innes. But we'll get all confirmation of that and more towards the end of today's broadcast, ladies and gents. And we do have a whole team on standby doing all the maths as well as what we've got here in the commentary booth. But Finley second, meanwhile, up the inside there of Mark Martin, and he's going to try and take third place back. Will he successfully do it? Well, as they make the way on the short run into Denton's right now, he's not done it yet, is Finley Secker. He still wants this place where he can, and well, we can see Mark Martin also thinking about a potential run back there, but as they make the way out to Cascade, looking as though Secker is now opened up enough a gap there to be safe. Gabriel Dutra, 1.3 seconds behind. He's still a little bit of a distant threat. They're flashing his headlights at distance as well, I believe. But here comes Mark Martin right now. Secker doesn't look anywhere near as comfortable through the fast left-hander of Island Bend with the damage he's got on the car. And, well, coming on through the corners right now. Well, I can tell you one thing, Finley Secker absolutely having to hold on here in a car that definitely has no straight line speed by comparison before you consider the slipstream. And Mark Martin's going to have to be inventive as we do say hello to Philip Fletcher there. Something tells me that might be Harry's dad, or at least a fellow family member, who does confirm that that throttle pedal is actually taped up. Well, absolutely brilliant. Thank you for the confirmation, Philip. You're a star for that. And, well, I guess my guess was right. But as we continue to see the fight here, well, 4 minutes to go, and whilst Fletcher is trying to break away from Maron, meanwhile, Secker's trying to hold off Martin, but that's not all. As we can see, Ben Sieber looking around the outside of Richard Revins, and we'll try to make that happen. Does it work out? The answer is no, not for now. More fights to come. Also, we do have John Shorter still finding Kelvin Woodhead close behind him and trying to hold on for this 6th place. The priority at the 220. Indeed, there's all fights everywhere you look at the moment, and it is really now coming down to the final laps. It's going to be an exciting end to this race, and what could happen next? We've only had one retirement from this race, and that is Thomas Stephen, your non-starter, but otherwise all 15 of the starters are still running. Even with Connor Spruce and Kira Boylan effectively a lap down at this point, they haven't given up going racing, which is great to see. But meanwhile, here's Ben Sieber at the inside, and that's a bit bold, but he rubs his paint up against the inside of Richard Revins' car, and right now I can imagine the right hand side door of Richard Revins' number 16 has got a shade of yellow applied to it, DCW Racing yellow I would say, and Richard Revins being elbowed back to 10th place there. Ben Sieber going for it. There's James Rogers and Jaden Innes squaring off here for the battle for 11th place. On to lap number 10 they go, and after this one I suspect there's only one more left, there may be two. It's all going to come down now to how quickly Harry Fletcher completes this lap. Indeed, it was very tight in the previous race to see whether we would have got an extra lap or not. We didn't in the end, but of course we could see a change here, as meanwhile we have had a bit of an incident, I believe, for Richie Holder, but we'll come to that shortly, as Jaden is right now trying to come back again versus James Rogers, looking at the inside. Here he goes, as Jaden Innes, and can he take that 11th place? Well, he will initially go for Island Bend, but now to the inside of Shell Oils, he'll try to cut. And James Rogers tries to find that space, but it doesn't quite work out for him. But as they make the way out, well, meanwhile, these drivers come charging on around. And as they do, will Harry Fletcher make his way down towards what will be Druids Bend. The EFR with Road to Racing Drive going in towards Druids. 2 minutes left on the clock. And right now for Fletcher, all he's got to do is lead this lap and then most likely one more. And it will be a provisional crown for Harry Fletcher, as Max Ron sits behind 7.5 tenths adrift. 9 seconds behind. There's Finley Secker and Mark Martin. But Gabriel Dutra looking for the move here on Martin. He's had a good run there coming out to Druids Bend. And Gabriel Dutra will take that as they make the way into Lodge. John Shorter slowly catching up on these. Good observational awareness there for Rich down to 0. Catching out as John Shorter runs a bit wide there. But there they go. White flag is waving. We can confirm. So this is the final lap of the season they go on to. We're only going to get 11 laps, not 12. And right now, Gabriel Dutra 1 second away from the podium. Can he get himself onto the podium? Or will he not do so? We'll have to see. Remember the fact he has only taken 1 podium this season. It was last time out in race number 2 at Oran Park. Can he make it 2 podiums, or will he be made to wait? And how did he get that move done? Well, here's a quick explanation. Because it was the run coming through Druids there. Mark Martin went very deep out of Druids, had to catch the car. Gabriel Dutra with the perfect line there and just absolutely sent it to the inside. But as we come back to your live racing. Not long left, and right now definitely gets into the crescendo point of this race. We've had so many brilliant battles between drivers. We also do see there Richard Revens attacking Ben Sieber. He is 2.5 tenths behind. Is he close enough to look for the move? Not quite at the moment. Meanwhile, as we look from them, John Shorter now to the back of Mark Martin. Martin, I think, losing a little bit of his pace there as a result of Duke to make his way past. And Shorter wants one last run at this if he can. Can he get into the top 5 here? I know there's a lot of fans willing him on right now. He's going to look to the inside. He's going to go for it into his laps. He leaves as late as possible on the brakes, tries to squeeze his nose in, but it's not enough there as Mark Martin calls out his bluff and says, no, I'll chop off your nose if needed. And, well, it's going to stay as is. But as they make the way through that right-hander, well, for John Shorter right now, has he got any more left of this as Ben Sieber looks to go round the outside of Richard Revens, but it's not enough. But as they continue their fight through his laps, ladies and gentlemen, the clock counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And as he comes through the corner, the checker flag awaits him. And whilst Oulton Park was a rough round and the first race of the day saw his throttle pedal to be stitched up, win the end for Harry Fletcher. He won't be denied victory in race number 2. And with it, here's your provisional 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup champion. Head of Max Ron there takes the run-up spot, and Finley Secker recovers Sand's front bumper to 3rd place. Gabriel Ducha comes on through for 4th, just missing out the podium ahead of Mark Martin, who holds off John Shorter for 5th. And then it will be Kelvin Woodhead in 7th place, 10 seconds behind. We will see Kurt Fawcett come through to 8th place in the end. But look at this battle to line for 9th. It's Ben Sieber who does get the upper hand of Richard Revens in the end. He takes 9th, Revens in 10th. I'm not quite sure whether that means Sieber is 3rd or 2nd in the championship, and the same for Jayden Innes, who takes the length. So I'm not going to call that yet, ladies and gentlemen. But James Rogers comes on through to 12th, and then we will see 20 seconds behind. It is going to be none other than what will be Richie Holder, who will take 13th place in the number 49 as he makes his way through. And, well, for your number 49 driver at the end, a frustrating day, a tough final race. But to give credit where it's due for Richie, he hasn't given up, and that's what it's all about. The same for Connor Spruce. And let's give them all a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. It has gone wrong for Connor, as it has for Richie and for Kira, but they have not given up. They're making it to the finish, and these rookies, they are doing something that veterans don't typically do. You start a race, you finish a race, and that's what it's all about. As Connor Spruce comes through to complete his championship with 14th in the end, and then we will see Kira Boylan coming through last but not least. All 15 of our starters in this race will see the checker flag, and, well, it's a sad end for Kira Boylan, to be fair, given the fact Now, understandably, she was on course for that win, or at least a podium, until that small bit of contact with Max Veron. Question marks over what exactly happened there, but understandably, she's come home in 15th place, and it can't be denied her racing spirit is absolutely unconquerable. But as Harry Fletcher parks up there, and well, we get to see three of our big stars lined up together, and we're all sat comfortably. A few cars there looking a bit bruised, no doubt about it. We've got some donuts being done by Kelvin Woodhead. He's had fun out there, and we've had fun, ladies and gents. I think we've all enjoyed all the great racing. And, well, let's take a look at those race results subject to any Stewards inquiries. And here they are as they come up on your screen. And after a brilliant 20 minutes of racing, and I do believe we have none other than Paul Crawford, man in the Motorsport UK Esports YouTube account there, saying, what a round, provisional championship for Harry Fletcher. Indeed, I 100% agree with you. What a round, what a final race of the season, as Harry Fletcher taking that win. Coming through from 11th place with a throttle pedal that's been held together with tape, and the EFL Rotor Racing driver taking that win by just shy of a second over Max Veron. His 5th podium of the season. No win this season for the Simit Esports Racing Team driver, but to be fair to him, 5 podiums in 10 races, a 50% hit rate on the podium. He'll be proud of that. Finley Secker wasn't quite his race in the end after his achievements in race number 1, but the Drive Lounge Racer driver came back from the damage to take that 3rd place ahead of Gabriel Duch, the Brazilian, who fought his way through, and what a brilliant fight. And there were, of course, some early bumps earlier in the season for Gabriel Duch as he played battles with rivals, but to be fair, as the season's gone, he's really learnt from those battles, and that was one of his best drivers of the season, no doubt. 5th place there, Mark Martin, the Hungarian driver with the eyelashes, just losing out in the late stages on that podium, but also Mark doing a brilliant job there fighting hard, and John Shorter missing out by 2 tenths of line for a top 5, but John, in a heavily damaged car, fights his way back up to 6th place. Kelvin Woodhead in 7th there, and ended his season with donuts. He was happy with the way it's ended. Ahead of Kurt Fawcett there for F33L Esports, and then Ben Sieber and Richard Revens had a great fight at the end, and regardless of where he's finished in the championship, Ben Sieber, I think, will be happy to finish with a battle right at the end there, and taking that position by only 3/10 of the finish. Outside the top 10 behind Revens, it was Jaden Innes who was best the rest of the length ahead of James Rogers, with Richie Holder and then Connor Spruce and Kira Boylan seeing the completion of the finishing order. A non-start for Thomas Stephen, technical issues with his Mazda MX-5, unfortunate for him, but otherwise all 15.5 starters all finishing the race on the lead lap. And what a race to complete it. And well, ladies and gentlemen, the good news is, if you bear with me for a brief moment, we do now have our provisional standings available. So just hold the line, as we like to say, hold the line cooler. And indeed, we'll just look at the car of Harry Fletcher parked up there right now, as he does sit there very patiently. And we are about to have those standings load up on screen for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we can show you the provisional final standings. And a huge thank you to the admin team behind the scenes for all their hard work this season and for getting these standings cooked up very rapidly. And here they are then, ladies and gentlemen, our final standings. I do believe, as they get ready to come up right now, we are just double checking to make sure these are right. And the answer to that question is yes, they are. And here are your final standings, your provisional final standings for the 2026 Motorsport UK Esports Rookie Sportscar Cup, powered by the Sim Racing Collective, and of course supported by official prize partners FINALE and Simagic. And as we look all the way to the top, Harry Fletcher, your champion on 361 points EFR with Rotor Racing, head of Jaden Innes. Runner-up, the Privateer, on 289 points to 255 of Ben Sieber for DCW Racing, who, despite his misfortune in both races, held off Max Moron to third place and will take home the P700 pedals with the field gloves by only 5 points in the end. But understandably, when Max hears this, I think he will be a little bit upset given how hard he's worked today. But to be fair to Max, he threw everything at it and he's earned himself a deserved fourth place. And look at how close Finley Secker was to stealing that from him, and also that third place of Ben Sieber. From third to fifth, 9 points between them in the end. You couldn't call it closer. Connor Spruce as well, taking stick for the end there. Make sure Mark Martin could not steal it away from him. And Gabriel Duch on 100 and what is... excuse me, I do believe that's 195 points, holding off James Rogers, with Kelvin Woodhead completing that top 10, just beating John Shorter. And in fact, it's a tie between the two of them. So how will that be settled then, I hear you ask? Well, it will be on result countback. And I do believe, as I double look at the result countback here between the two drivers, the best result of Kelvin Woodhead has been a fifth place, in fact, a fourth place finish over the course of the season. That was at Oran Park in the first race. For John Shorter, in fact, it will be John Shorter. Understandably, these standings can only show you based on points, but it will be John Shorter who's actually 10th because he has taken a third place podium to Kelvin Woodhead's best finish of a fourth place. So John Shorter, in fact, will be 10th in the end based on tie break. Kurt Fawcett takes 12th, a further 17 points behind, ahead of Richard Rems and Kira Boylan. And then Thomas Stephen, Antonio Gabrowski, Richie Holder, and Craig McCracken completing those with points down to 18th place with 15 points for the Scotsman. And there were 0 points for Harry North and Lee Rootley. And also there, 0 points for Beavis Lau, Matthew Shade, Lee Barry Allen, and Dave Young. Goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what an end to the season. What a dramatic end as well. And, well, there is your confirmation of Harry Fletcher, Jaden S. and Ben Sieber, your top three in the championship in the end. That's all subject to stewards' inquiries, of course, but those are your provisional final points. But with that, as we do put the standings aside, well, of course, we've still got some time for some post-round interviews for our drivers. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Just like Harry Fletcher's not going anywhere parked up there, we'll be back very shortly for our final interviews of the season. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time to kick off our post-round interviews for the final time this season. And, well, we could only kick off with one driver because joining me now, it is none other than your provisional 2026 Motorsport UK Esports Rookie Sportscar Cup champion. It is Harry Fletcher. Harry, you've won it. How does that sound?
I had to do it the hard way, didn't I? Oh, it feels brilliant. First major championship win. Oh, this is what you kind of like. Well, I wouldn't say dream of, that would be in your IRL car. Oh, but this is almost like if you can't do the IRL car, like you want to start winning championships. And yeah, what a way to win it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like you say, it was not the easiest way to do it. But of course, if we put Oulton Park behind us, because that was a bit of a blip of the season, you came here...
And Oschersleben.
Indeed, Oschersleben as well. You wanted to start off strong here, but in qualifying, second place to Finley Secker. I mean, was that a shock?
Sort of not, because I remembered it was Oulton Park, and I do not really tend to go well here. I did mess up a little bit in qualifying, ran a little bit wide turn 1, turn 5, and turn 12 I did a bit. So there was probably about 2 steps of maybe just enough to tip it, but I don't think it would have been. So I wasn't too shocked, had gone quicker in practice, but practice is practice. But we knew what we had to do in race 1.
Oh, indeed. And, well, race number 1, of course, we did see you, and I think this is, and I'm not being rude when I say this, I think we saw a very different style of Harry Fletcher in race 1, where after Finley Secker held the lead, you just seemed to wait behind him. Was the game just simply wait until the end?
Almost. It was more so stick with him, pull a gap to Max, because we knew it was quick. We knew it's tight here at Oulton Park. It is. You really need to put trust in the other guy for it, and just with the title on the line, I weren't trusting anyone. I wasn't. It didn't matter who. So I thought I'd wait for him, and then maybe like pressure him more, because I knew I was consistent. I knew he was quicker, but I knew I was way more consistent. So just waiting for those mistakes, which I did start seeing make, and just wait for that perfect opportunity to slip past.
Well, it looked like that opportunity was going to come at some point, but then suddenly we saw you parked up at the Hislop chicane. What happened?
This has been an ongoing issue. It actually almost ruled me out for Snetterton. I'm on the Thrustmaster TX and TLCM pedals, and the wire, I've had it for a bit of a while now, to be honest. Sometimes the wire can go and there'll be no warning other than the throttle pedal will stay jammed wide open, so the car becomes a runaway. So I have an ignition button mapped just in case of this. The thing that locked it in place to the wheelbase broke before Snetterton, so we have quite literally had to take that up, as my dad put in chat. So that was all right, but it was actually in the pedal box itself, it had just come loose a bit in there. So it was when I realised, because I wanted to lift off, the throttle was jammed open, hit the ignition switch, park it in there in a safe place, dive down into my pedal box, fiddle around with it to try and get it in there, plug it back in, and just get it quick and go underway as fast as I could.
Oh, fair play. Now, I've got to ask you off the back of that, do you do any real-life races at all? Because that is the exact procedure that you're taught on a Motorsport UK racing licence for how you stop a runaway car, essentially.
No, but I can count on one hand the amount of times I've done IRL karting, and that's only renting at my local, that is, which happens to be Buckmore because I live in London. But yeah, no, I literally never had the budget for it. Like, not even like the remotest karting, even rental, it's a struggle.
Oh, fair play. Well, go on.
It's just from car, and then like from where I've had it before, and I thought that's the best thing to do. I am a mechanic just finished motorsport with mechanics at college, so that's kind of applied that logic. Kill the ignition, throttle can't do anything.
Oh, fair play. Appreciate you filling us in there, because I just thought I'd throw that insight in there for those curious, because that is exactly how you stop a wayward car you're taught to when you do go racing on a circuit in the UK. But coming back to esports racing here for yourself. So, race number 1, got the throttle pedal going, as you say, with your dad taping it up. Then race number 2, we saw you go on an absolute stormer to the front. But again, playing it safe and making the moves when they mattered.
I got very lucky in turn 3, the way I see it. But I got told over the radio that with the way the points worked, it was P10 and I was P11, and I knew it was a lot quicker than the other guys around me. And that's I said to them, they're all decent. It's just practice helped out with that. And so I knew all I had to do was there. And then I saw the incident happening at turn 1. So I knew to stay to the inside as best I could because I could see them and you talk to aim for the spinning car in real life and in esports. I knew that was going to happen. And once that was there, and as soon as I saw that was Jaden's car, I knew I was home free. So no, then it was just don't do anything silly and just have fun. And boy, did I have some of that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, plenty of fun out there. Gradually battling your way forward as we do see some replay footage here of you passing Max Moran. I thought it'd be a second. No, not Max Moran, passing Mark Martin for second place. But every time it looked as though with the moves, it was a very decisive when I go for it, it's going to be mine. There's none of this. It's 50-50. We might be battling into the next corner.
You can't afford to do it around here because the track's so narrow, and when you're in these positions, and from the limited experience I have got in rental karting and my experience in racing beforehand, when you stick it, you've got to make sure you stick it, because if you leave it 50-50 there, they're going to send it, and, well, some of these moves are who wants it more, and I decided I wanted it a lot more.
Oh, 100%. You definitely wanted it. And, well, we saw you then make the move on Max Moran, who, to be fair, defended well. The two of you, of course, have had your instance in the past, but clean battling between the two of you for the lead.
It was just an unfortunate one at Oulton Park, really. I didn't really see any blame on him for it. It's like it was just one of those. Just, you weren't expecting it. I know he's quite young, I'm pretty sure, and he's a Sim Motorsport Academy, so I knew he was going to be pretty good to race with. And yeah, I just thought, I know where I want to do it, I'll just stick it there.
Oh, fair play. And when then you made the move happen, and as you came out the final corner to see that checker flag, I mean, it must have felt like a big weight off your chest in terms of champion and ending the season on a win.
Well, yeah, it was. I had a bit more relief into the chicane because that's where I knew he was too far back and he struggled a little bit through Druids. So I was like, oh, the relief was off then. And then as soon as I come around the final corner, I tried to get a bit sideways, but I wasn't going to be able to do it with these cars. And then, just pure joy, pure joy.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, absolute joy. And I can imagine how happy your family are and friends as well. And I have to ask, what's next for you? You've won the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup. What are you setting your sights on next? Have you got anything planned?
I have actually got the 4-hour at Brands Hatch with the Sim Racing Collective, which I know you commentate for. So you will see me there driving with my engineer. So you'll get to see him have a run at home track for me. So that'll be fun. I'm thinking about the Formula 1600s, but I'm not quite too sure at the moment. Although I need to have a look at the sports car challenge that I see coming up for this, because I'm quite interested in that. So you will see me around Motorsport UK. I do plan on doing some of that stuff. Whether it's one or the other, I plan on giving them a good go. We'll see if I'm quick enough for the Formula 1600s. And otherwise, yeah, we'll just take it one step at a time for that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the grid for TSRC's 4 Hours of Brands Hatch in the coming weeks. And I'm sure we'll look forward to seeing you come back for the Motorsport UK Esports series that are to come later this year. But just before we do let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to for the final time this season?
The big one has to be the team. It has to be the team. Their support has genuinely been ridiculous. We've had a bit of a rough, with our races with 24 Hours of Spa there, the 24 Hours Daytona around Oulton Park. So it's a rough patch for the whole team, and their support has been unreal. Whether it's been just helping me out with driving lines, tips, even practicing racecraft, and just the support there, turning up, watching every race. Mum, Dad, they're watching. Mum did watch this race. She hasn't had time to watch the others, unfortunately, due to my two brothers. And Dad's been watching since race 2. And to have him watching as well, it's a big, both of them two, sorry, I should say that. They are both, it is massive to have them two. It is super huge.
Oh, I can imagine.
And all my friends.
Oh, go on.
Oh, no, that was it. Sorry.
Oh, no worries at all. And I can definitely feel how proud you are to have flown the banner for your mum and dad. I'm sure they will be massively proud of you. Harry, we'll leave you to it. Congratulations on becoming our champion for 2026. Go celebrate and have a wonderful rest of the evening. Yep. You deserve it.
One last thing. Come on, you Irons.
Oh, goodness me. Giving the shout out there for West Ham, of course, in the Championship this season when they go back to football. But we're here talking about esports, and what a very happy man, Harry Fletcher for EFR with Rotor Racing. And, well, the reason that he's made it work out this season, of course, he has been the quickest driver out there. But note the fact, and remember, there were a lot of you who were perhaps concerned about the fact we saw him have that absolutely staggering pole lap at the start at Snetterton and those pole laps in the first 3 rounds of the season. But the field has closed up as time has gone on, and the difference has been that when he's been under pressure, he's been able to dig in and get those results extracted, and he's been phenomenal, no doubt about it. But he even here today, starting second, find himself at a circuit that he's not the best at. And, well, Finley Secker definitely taking him to task. And, well, the throttle pedal issue that almost prevents him from racing at Snetterton coming back to haunt him. Well, we'll tape it up and get it going in race number 1 and get it to the finish. And in race number 2, just hold on all the way to the end. And by holding on after the brilliant first half of the season, for Harry Fletcher, he has made it work out a treat. No doubt about it for the EFR with Rotor Racing driver. And, well, we look forward to seeing him back on the grid in the future in the Motorsport UK Esports Championships. No doubt about it, because he's definitely been a star, and I think he's only going to rise from his rookie origins here today in the 2026 Championship as your champion. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've got more interviews to come, and coming up next, I do believe we're heading to our second place finisher in the Championship, and that is none other than Jaden Innes, as he now gets ready to join me in the interview room, and indeed give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, and he will be with us. And in fact, here we go, as Jaden Innes now joins me on air. And as he does, coming into the interview, let's hear his story. So Jaden joins me now. Jaden, good evening to you. An absolutely crazy end to the season, but for yourself, second in the championship provisionally.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Obviously, I didn't, not the best performance out there, but I mean, I was consistent through the whole season, and that was the main thing I really wanted to have this season. So with all those top 5 finishes, especially in the last couple of races, it really came through.
Oh, indeed. There's been some really standout performances from yourself, and like you say, those top 5 performances, plus also getting onto the podium. But here today, I mean, you were technically the only driver who could have stolen the crown away from Harry Fletcher, but something tells me perhaps the focus was more on making sure you finished second in the championship.
Yeah, to be fair, I do believe I had the pace, not to fight Harry, of course. He was way too fast, but I just invalidated my laps in qualifying, so that kind of just put me on the back foot. And then through the race, I was in the back, so I had to be patient and let people have their incidents. So that kind of took away the chance of me getting up there. But I definitely, now that I saw that Harry had that incident, I definitely could have maybe had a chance, but we'll never know.
Oh, indeed. There could have been a chance for yourself, but it wasn't quite to be. And, okay, qualifying didn't work out, but race number 1, we saw you halve the gap from 12th to 6th place, fighting your way through and dodging some wayward MX-5s.
Yeah, that was very fortunate. Me and Mark there just having slight amount of battles and just keeping it overall clean. We just wanted to get through the pack and get the positions. We knew that the positions would come. Obviously, it's very hectic at a track like Oulton Park just because of how narrow it is. So we played it safe, and yeah, we got 6 positions, and he got, I think, 7, so it was good.
Well, it worked out very nicely for yourself. And then going into race number 2, of course, starting in 3rd place, and all looked good until a small little tap between yourself and Ben Sieber turned into a bit of a domino effect. Yeah,
I mean, if the stewards want to look into it, that's fine. I mean, I think it was a racing incident. I think it is what it is. I don't think either of us are really at fault there. It was kind of an unfortunate circumstance because I don't think the battle would have actually happened had Kira not tried to cut across and try and block off what's his name? Ben, obviously. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable incident. I don't think it was anybody at fault. I feel bad, obviously, but yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Now, to be fair, it did go a bit wrong at the start, but one thing that you've shown throughout the season is you don't give up when things go wrong, and in the end, pushing on as much as possible, and we did see you spend a good chunk of the race chasing after James Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to pit because my car was completely done for, but obviously you just lose so much time in the MX-5 if you're in the pit lane, even with the fast repairs. So I just decided, you know what, I'll see how fast we could go. The damage wasn't that bad. I actually had no idea that I didn't have the front bumper. I thought my hood was just popped up a bit, because obviously in the cockpit you can't see that. But the grip was still decent, so I was very surprised that I still had enough pace to fight him.
Well, the two of you had a great battle, and in the end, you did manage to find your way past right at the close for what would be 11th place, and enough to seal the deal for what would be that runner-up spot. Although, looking back over the season, what has been perhaps your highlight moment or your highlight round?
Let's see. It's a tough one. That's just a lot of P3s and P2s. Like, I could have, if I got a win, obviously it would have been very easy, but I was very close on multiple occasions. If I had to say the most impressive one, I'd probably say Rudskogen, maybe. Just because I didn't have a ton of practice in there. My practice pace was atrocious. And then qualifying was, I think I qualified like second or third, and then I had a fantastic race afterwards. So that was a very difficult track for me, and I was very surprised I could pull through on that one.
Oh, fair play. Well, perhaps beating your own personal expectations with regards to that, but still, expectations are made to be broken, no doubt about it. And at the other end now, I mean, when we talked midway through the season, you said you were eyeing third place because of the pedals. You've come second instead, and you've got that absolutely brilliant second place prize of what is the Field Glass Plus, also the GT and Neo wheel. I mean, have you surpassed your personal expectations for this championship?
Yeah, honestly, like, I haven't, like, obviously everybody starts in the MX-5, but I very quickly dropped the MX-5 and I went, you know, for LMP2 is my favorite car now, but yeah, I was expecting that I could possibly finish within, like, you know, a top 5 would be nice. Like, the prizes were good, but, you know, when you see a league with prizes that good, you're assuming that, like, it's going to be almost impossible for you to fit your way into those prizes. But yeah, no, I'm very impressed that I managed to perform so well. I thought it would have been within that, like, 7th to 8th range.
Well, to be fair, you've definitely impressed and have been, like you say, one of the most consistent drivers all season long, with an absolutely brilliant mid-run of podiums, but including what was the chain of third and second places, if my memory serves me correctly, through the mid-portion. And I had to ask now, what's next for yourself? Have you got your sights on any other championships here at Motorsport UK Esports or any other series out the globe?
So, I mean, I have looked at the Motorsport UK championships, and I don't know, like, it's not the type of cars I kind of like driving, but it's nothing wrong in broadening your horizons, right? So if I can't really find one, I might just hop in one of those instead. But yeah, I mean, I want to kind of get my I rating up for the most part because it's extremely low. So yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Well, we all have to start somewhere with our rating, but we wish you the best luck in gradually building it up. And just before I do let you go, to celebrate being our runner-up, is anyone you'd like to give a special mention to or shout out for the final time this season?
Same as usual. My boys at Coop, they're the reason I'm here, and they're the reason I have any pace to begin with. So they are the only people who deserve all the praise.
Well, to be fair, Jade, I think you need to give yourself some praise because you are a runner-up for the 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup Championship. Congratulations, go celebrate, and we'll see you on the grid in the near future.
Thank you, take care.
So hearing that, ladies and gentlemen, from Jaden Innes, happy with his achievements and really putting it down to that mid-run from rounds 2 through to 4. We picked up 5 podiums in 6 races and a 4th place on top of that as well. Hugely consistent, and mentioned that he did have a chance at the championship today, but when he did go wrong in race number 2, that really ended his opportunity to try and steal the crown away from Harry Fletcher. But always looking forward, not necessarily backwards, and interest there, talking about the fact that really the focus was on believing he could potentially take that crown. But it wasn't quite to be, but the flip side of the coin, of course, being the fact and then in the end, happy that second place surpassed his expectations, given he was looking at somewhere inside the second half of the top 10. And for Jaden Innes, I think a very happy man. And well, now just targeting raising his I rating. But I'm sure we'll get to see him on a few grids in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. He's shown a lot of promise, and he may not be the fastest out there, but he's definitely Mr. Consistent and knows what he needs to do in order to bring home some big scores week to week and round to round. And that's why he's been your runner-up. But with that, we now come to our next interview. Indeed, we've got a bit of a bumper edition of interviews, and of course, we're making sure that we speak to all of our top 3 finishers and the championship that is. And we are coming now to Ben Sieber, who gets ready to join me in the interview room. And in fact, I do believe we're going to have Ben coming in very much now, as we do cut back to some footage of him from in the races, as he did get green flag racing underway. And here comes Ben Sieber, ladies and gentlemen. He joins me in the room now. Ben, good evening to you. 3rd place in the 2026 Sportscar Cup, the Rookie Sportscar Cup Championship, I should say. How does it sound to you?
I mean, it sounds a lot better than I felt it did about 20 minutes ago, because I thought I'd messed that one up completely, but I think I managed to cling on to 3rd place. So yeah, very good, very happy at the end of all of that.
Now, I suspected you might have needed a little bit of time to cool down after what has been definitely an intriguing round, perhaps one of your roughest rounds of the season so far at a circuit a bit closer to home, but not in qualifying necessarily. 5th place in qualifying, one of your best qualifying performances.
Yeah, again, I think like all of my qualifying, I'm not great over a lap, and I had a bit more pace than that, but I was happy with 5th. And yeah, sort of, I had it in my head to just sort of keep things clean and keep my head down and go and get a reasonable finish, and unfortunately ended up having to work a little bit harder.
Well, having to work a little bit harder in the race, although in race number 1, as much as you tried to push forward, Oulton slipped backwards a little bit, and of course, there was that instant on the open lap. What happened?
I think it was John in front of me. I was going to have a little poke up the inside, thought better of it, and I think he had someone up his inside, so I think he checked up a bit more than I thought he would. Tagged the back of him, fortunately just put me round. And then, yeah, I was facing the wrong way, looking at a swarm of MX-5s coming towards me, which isn't great.
Well, indeed, a bit of a difficult situation, but to be fair, you handled it well and got yourself running again quite quickly and made your way up into 7th place at the end and into the reverse grid. I mean, were you surprised that perhaps?
I mean, I think round Oulton Park, it's not an easy place to overtake. I did the rookie championship round there last year and experienced how tight it is, and I think you can always pick up a few freebies. Fortunately, managed to get that. Got one on the last lap. To put myself in 7th, which at the end of it I'm not sure I'd say happy, but I was pleasantly surprised with.
And then, of course, going into race number 2, and I think this is going to feel as though it was none other than deja vu, or I'm trying to think Groundhog Day all over again. A good start from 2nd place, and in the end, by the exit of turn number 3, you find yourself pointing in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think you watch anything around Oulton Park, and it's one of those classics. It all checks up coming down the hill, and turn 3 is a bit of chaos. I think Jaden poked his nose in, and I thought I was going to be clear, and I wasn't, and I think we took half the field with us, which is always unfortunate, and gave myself a lot of damage on the front end, which sort of held me back. But managed to keep my nose clean for the rest of the race and bring it home. I think just enough to finish 3rd, so I'll take it.
Indeed, provisionally, according to the standings that we have available, and we showed on the broadcast a little bit earlier, and these have been ratified by our admins as well, so I haven't got the wonky spreadsheet from last week. You did manage to take 3rd by 5 points versus Max Ron, 255 to his 250. But to be fair, you perhaps not had the happiest round today, although we did see that brilliant move between yourself and Richard Revins right at the end. But you have been one of our stars over the season. In fact, you had a very strong first half of the season.
Yeah, I think a couple of incidents aside early on, and I could have been even further up. But I think it's a testament to the series, the close racing with Richard at the end, who's a driver who's not always been up the sharp end, but still shows that you can fight really hard in this championship. It's not easy to make places. It's not easy to get points. So, very happy with it all.
Oh, fantastic. And when you look back over the season, is there a particular moment or a round that's going to stand out as your highlight, perhaps?
I mean, the win was nice at Oschersleben, but I think we just talked about it in the waiting room. I think it was round 1 at Snetterton with Connor, something like 7 thousandths of a second at the line. That was some proper racing. That was really good.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant racing between the two of you, no doubt about it. And what's next for yourself? Because I know you've done the DCW Racing family proud, but what are you going on to? Is it more Motorsport UK Esports Championships, or have you got other things in the pipeline?
Yeah, hopefully whatever's next with Motorsport UK. But I've actually got the IndyCar Europe Series starting on Wednesday, and I think Jaden is a commentator, so I've told him he has to be nice to me.
Oh, goodness me. Well, to be fair, I think I did see some brown envelopes being exchanged when I looked out my window into that room. But either way, Ben, we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming European IndyCar Series. And just before we do let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a mention or a shout out to for the final time?
I mean, everyone who's involved in the championship, I think it's really well run by Motorsport UK. So yeah, all the guys there and everyone who raced this season. There's been some really good racing up and down the field. So yeah, everyone involved.
Oh, well, Ben, it's been a blast catching up with you. Appreciate this round hasn't worked out, but you still held on to third in the championship by a whisker. But at the end of the day, winners, winners, they say, and you've earned those P700 pedals plus the field gloves. Congratulations to yourself. And, well, I expect we'll see more of you shining bright in the future. But until then, rejoice in your third place and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, Paul. Brilliant as always. Thank you.
So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, from a happy and a bit of a bittersweet happy Ben Seaby. You can hear it in his voice there, the fact that when he's reflected on this round, this hasn't been the round that he's really wanted to end the season on, and we're holding on to that third by a very limited margin. But on reflection, having some very strong performances and really drawing attention to that 0.007 of a second win in that battle between himself and none other and then Connor Spruce at Snetterton. Not the win of the race, but the win in their battle for was the finishing positions there, and enjoying the respect shown throughout the field and the calibre of the competition. And we saw that in his fight with Richard Revins right at the end. But for Ben, it has been a season of consistent form, no doubt about it. And I get the feeling in that European IndyCar Championship, he is going to be highly consistent there. I'm sure we'll see him back on the Motorsport UK Esports Championship grid sooner than we know it. And he'll be looking to go even further and perhaps take the crown in whatever he competes in next. But with that, ladies and gents, we've got a couple more interviews still on the cards, and I do believe next up we're going to be going to our fourth place finish in the championship. It's going to be none other than Max Moron, and he gets ready to join me now in the interview room. And well, as he does so, let's have a little chat to him about what has been a bit of a missed opportunity, but at the same time as well, the fact he definitely has come on strong as the season has gone on. And so as he makes his way into the interview room, he joins me now. Good evening to you, Max. And it could have been no closer than 5 points to the end, but you are our fourth place finish in the championship. But a great end to the season as well. I mean, you must be happy of how you've ended the season. Oh, I'm not sure if Max is able to hear us at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. If he is able to hear us, his microphone may not be working, so do bear us. Oh.
Hello?
There we've got him. Max, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, no worries at all. I was just saying there, fourth in the championship by a small margin in the end, but you gave it your all in this season finale.
Yeah, it's very good to finish as high up in the championship after so many setbacks. Oschersleben race 2 computer completely crashed on me, and then the other rounds where things didn't go my way. Just very happy to finish this high up.
Well, you've ended the season on arguably your strongest round, 2 second place finishes back to back, and it all started with a great qualifying performance with that fourth place in qualifying.
Yeah, I could have done better, but starting on the second row is always good. Heading into turn 1, I was on the inside, so I could have. So I moved up into P3 easily, going down the inside of, I think it was John Shorter.
Indeed, some smart moves there on John Shorter, and then we did see as the race went on that you'd fight your way hard and fast for what would be that second place, well, the third place initially, but then it would become the second when Harry Fletcher had his technical issues. Did you think you could have perhaps chased down our winner of Finley Secker?
Finley was in a different world compared to me. I mean, 6/10 in quali. I don't think that I could have caught up to him. Well, when Harry had his issues with his pedals, I just took it lightly and just didn't try push.
Well, you definitely drove smartly there and secured that second place. And then in race number 2, we saw another very smart drive from yourself, going from 7th to 2nd. But this time, Harry Fletcher just beating you to the win.
Yeah, same as race 1. I didn't try push it that much. I knew that Harry was way faster than me. as he was the whole season. So I just kind of let him past.
Oh, fair play to you, but still a second place in the end. Now, I hate to ask it, were you doing the maths to know whether you were going to finish third, or did you just decide, you know what, have fun and see where you finish at the end?
Yeah, I just decided to have fun. I didn't really want to jinx myself with doing the maths and seeing what position I can finish in to finish in third overall. So I just tried my best.
I think a smart approach, to be fair. And you've been a star this season. I don't think anybody can deny that. Of course, 2 second places today and multiple podiums throughout the season. In fact, I do believe 5 podiums in 10 races. But I think it's been you have finished on the podium or you've had a bit of a bad day. Is that the way you felt your season has gone?
Yeah, I could have finished on the podium way more times, especially in the first 2 races after I qualified a bit further in the pack. P17 is not a very good place to start, but thankfully the reverse grid was in place for this championship, so I could start higher up in the second races.
Oh, fair. Well, there's always time to look back and think of what you can do better. But I have to ask, what is next to yourself? Have you got any other championships lined up? Can we see you back on a Motorsport UK Esports grid soon?
Hopefully, if there is going to be a Motorsport UK Esports Championship that I could run, then I would run in. Sorry, I can't speak. Then I would run in it, but I'm looking to do the 4 hours of Brands Hatch with the Sim Racing Collective.
Oh, fantastic. We'll definitely get to see you on the grid for that in a few weeks' time. And well, Max, as we get ready to let you go and enjoy your evening, is there anyone you'd like to say a thank you or a shout out to for the final time this season?
My family and my team, again, they've been really supportive of me in this championship. So I just want to say a big thank you to them.
Oh, well, I'm sure they'll appreciate the big mention. Max, thank you for joining me for an interview this evening. Congratulations on 4th in the championship. Not quite in the prizes, but to be fair, I think the prize that you've earned along the way is some huge results and definitely a few fans out there. Have a lovely evening and we'll see you on the grid in the near future.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. So hearing there from Max Moron, the Simagic Esports racing team driver, and hearing there the fact very happy with the end of the season, and also mentioned the fact couldn't quite catch Finley Secker in race number 1. In race number 2, did not want to stand in the way of Harry Fletcher, just simply because he wanted to bring home the point. Wasn't thinking about the championship, was thinking about just get the result and get the car home. And to be fair, the Simagic Esports racing team driver just missed out by 5 points in the end. But of course, happy with how he's done, but also reflecting there that there were rounds where he could have picked up more podiums and made it a more straightforward chase for third. But it's the way it's worked out, and understandably, you go with what you're given. But I think along the way, he's definitely improved and come a long way. And I expect in any future event you see him in, he is definitely going to be very rapid and definitely coming on strong as time goes with it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more interview to come here today. And well, it's going to be none other with the man who finished 5th in the championship, I do believe, in the end. We are just going to double check that. And I do believe it was none other than the 5th place man. Yes, it is. And we are going to be coming to Finley Secker, who gets ready to join me in the interview room, and we take a look at some of the footage from his race as we prepare for him to come in. And we're going to refer to him as the King of Oulton Park, given the fact that he was able to put together some absolutely monstrous laps. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, coming into the interview room now, our final interview of the season, it is none other than Finley Secker. And as he does join me now, Finley, good evening to you. And I'm going to give you the title coming out of this season finale of the King of Oulton, because you took pole position in the end. You managed to dethrone Harry Fletcher from that pole. You took the win in race number 1. And if it had worked out differently in race number 2, something tells me you could have made it a perfect score today. Did you feel that way?
Honestly, this has been the best race I've had in a very long time. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I am so happy. It is just really unfortunate what happened in race 2, but I was still able to climb my way up back to 3rd and get some decent points. I'm not sure where that puts me in the standings, but I'm very happy to finish the championship on a big high.
So what it does mean is, championship-wise, you have finished 5th in the standings, but
Oh,
5th may not sound great, but consider this, and I know this is going to be a bit bittersweet for you. You're on 246 points, subject to any stewards and such, 4 behind Max Moron for 4th, and only a further 5 behind Ben Sieber for 3rd. I mean, you couldn't have cut it closer.
oh. So what you're telling me is, if I didn't crash in race 2, I would have got those pedals in 3rd.
You could put it that way, to be fair, but... Oh, goodness me. Well, to try and turn this around, let's talk a little bit about that pole lap. I mean, it was back and forth between yourself and Harry Fletcher, and in the end, taking it by a 10th or so.
Yeah, so I'm not actually sure how I bagged that lap in the end. You know, in practice, I was 2-3 tenths slower than that, and then that was literally my best lap I've ever done. You know, I was literally in the zone. I had multiple purple sectors. I was one with the car, and I was able to just string it all together and get a great lap. And unlike Snetterton, where I got 3 off tracks, every single one of my laps counted. So I'm very happy that I've been able to see a big progression in my driving style and pace since the start of the season, which, you know, I might not get the points that I need everything, but I'm able to progress as the driver and then learn from it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, 100%. There's always things you can learn from. And, well, we've seen you really progress as the season has gone on. Some highs and some lows. But staying with the theme of highs today, I mean, converting that pole position into the win. And it did look as though, as much as Harry Fletcher was hanging behind you and looking for that opportunity, you had some confidence you might have been able to hold him off until he had his technical issue.
Yeah, so Oulton Park is a terrible track to have as the season finale because it is very single file. It's extremely hard to go for overtakes unless the car in front of you is willing to lose a position. You know, if they know that you're a faster car and you have a shot of overtaking, then they might give you a bit more room into corners and maybe lay off the brakes a little bit. But Oulton Park is very single file, so for the first, I guess it was 10 or so minutes before Harry had a technical failure, I was just able to just be really defensive. You know, I wasn't fighting anyone ahead, so I could lose as much time as I wanted just defending Harry. And in the end, you know, he had that technical problem, which is really unfortunate for him. You know, no one wants to win a race because someone has a technical failure. But I still won race 1, and I reckon if he didn't have that technical failure, it would have been very close. You know, he may have got the win, I may have still won, but yeah, I'm very pleased with my second win of the season.
And something tells me you're probably targeting your 3rd win of the season, but it all went a bit wrong at the start of race number 2. What happened from your perspective?
So, from the start, lights go green. Someone was a bit slow off the line, so I was able to get up to 7th for turn 1. Turn 2, just before the incident, I was able to get another position. And then I look up ahead and I just see white smoke. My gut tells me to go left, but then I remember and then I just look at where the car's going and I decide to go right. At the very last moment, they roll backwards and the car behind me just goes into me and I'm sandwiched between the 2 cars and I lose all my positions, basically. I didn't get as much damage as you would think from a fairly old shunt like that. So I was able to carry on driving and put some quick laps in. And yeah, grab 3rd in the end, even though I had a terrible first lap.
Well, a bit of a disastrous first lap, but you fought your way all the way out to 3rd in a car that had some damage, but not as much as it looked as though it had. And I mean, picking off those places one by one, and it wasn't easy competition, particularly when you came up, I think it was with Mark Martin in the eyelash machine, who definitely was very eager to make sure if you were going to gain a place off of him, you had to take multiple laps to do it.
Yeah, so that goes back to what I was saying about Oulton Park being a very tight track. I had the pace as shown in qualifying to go round him, but he was doing great defensive driving, and you know he was in a great position, and I'm not saying anything bad about him because he did great driving and he defended that position so well. And you know, if I was in his shoes, I'd do the exact same thing. He drove to the T. It was just so I'm not even sure how I ever took him in the end, but he kept me behind for a couple of laps, and you know, that's what drivers do. You know, drivers race, and he did that very well.
Oh, he did. But in the end, you proved to just be a little bit stronger than him and found your way through and took that third place finish. And with the championship complete, of course, one of the questions I have to ask is, are there any moments or a result that stands out as your highlight of the season, or is it this round?
I don't know. I think the whole season has been a great highlight. I've been top of the tables during practice, like basically every single session, being over first or second to Harry, and being able to show that pace throughout the race. It was an anomaly what happened in Oschersleben. I just missed the lights and stalled a couple, you know. But it's been a great series. You know, I'm not quite, you know, your British Formula 4 driver that can be 0.1 from his fastest and slowest lap. But I'd like to think that I'm a fairly decent driver and have a pretty top tier team behind me, Drive Lounge Racing, which always helped me with practice. And you know, yesterday Noah Spolderson was helping me with practice and helped me find about half a second. And yeah, it's just great to have so many people supported me, and yeah, it's been great. And as well, Snetterton, I think as a home track, you know, it's literally about an hour and a half down the road from where I live. I've been multiple times and watched the racing, and you know, that battle in the second race for the lead and coming down to 0.2 seconds in the end was definitely what made me believe that I could get some points and hopefully fight for the title, which I did for a couple rounds. You know, round 2 at Rudscotton, I had the pace the whole time. It's just unfortunate I had a spin. And then Oulton Park having another win and potentially having another win in the second race. Just unfortunate I missed my brakes and went into, I think it was Max. So every single round has been something to reflect on and be proud about as a driver, because it's been a phenomenal, I can't even say that word, it's been a great series. So I will definitely be having an eye out for a similar series, because it has been such a competitive season. So yeah, it's been a great season. Thank you for commentating it also.
Well, Finley, with that, I definitely have to say once again, thank you for joining me in the interview, because you've been a star, and I do love the way you've really summarised your season and taken the learnings from it from round to round. And whichever grid we see you on in the future, including any upcoming Motorsport UK Esports Championships, I'm sure you're going to only shine even brighter. But congratulations on a phenomenal set of results here at Oulton Park to end your season on a high. Be proud of the 5th in the championship. There's plenty more to come for you, I'm sure. But until then, have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you. I'll see you later, hopefully. In a bit.
So hearing there from Finley Second, ladies and gentlemen, the Drive Lounge racing driver. Very happy with his performance, and I do love the fact they're really drawing on all the positives, whether it was home performance with Snetterton, alternatively what has been the win he did pick up a little bit earlier on in the season. We could have made it 2 from 2 at Oulton Park, but it wasn't to be with that unfortunate incident under braking. But either way, it all came together in the end for him. Just perhaps a little bit too late here at Oulton Park. And we'll mention the fact that if it were not for what was that incident in race number 2, could he have potentially made it a perfect score? Maybe, maybe not. It's a what-if question, but one thing we do know is that Finley Secker looking absolutely rapid. And, well, I'll tell you, the driver lunch racing driver, he's exhausted by this one. It's been a tough season for him, but at the same time as what a season he can be proud of. And long may his performances continue to rise as his racing career in the esports scene continues on. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude our interviews there, and we've had some absolutely brilliant interviews with our top 5 drivers in the championship, provisionally, of course, subject to Stuart's inquiries. And let's give you a recap of who we've spoken to. Because we've spoken to, along the way, your champion, Harry Fletcher, after what was the mixed results and the drama in race number 1 with the throttle pedal issue. Then we came to Jaden Innes, the man who took the runner-up spot, albeit thought he could perhaps give Harry Fletcher a run for his money, but the early incident in race number 2 made it not to be. Then we came to Ben Sieber, held on by a thread for 3rd place, only by 5 points ahead of Max Moron, and Finley Secker further 4 behind, and we got to see it's so close between our final 3 drivers there who we interviewed. Speaking of Ben Sieber, firstly, very happy of his achievements, no doubt about it. Was hoping he could end the season on a stronger round. So Max Moron just missed out on that win, but taking 5 out of 10 results as podiums. And the Summit Esports Racing Team driver known as more podiums out there, but plenty to learn from. And then talking about the completed picture, Finley Secker there, and we're happy with the wins, with the results, and known as something to take from every round, where it's from his home circuit at Snetterton all the way to season finale Oulton Park, a circuit he loves and absolutely shone at. And thank you to all 5 of those drivers for joining me for an interview. Much appreciated, of course. And thank you to all of our drivers who've joined us for interviews throughout the entirety of the season. They've all been brilliant. And thank you to them all for being on the grid, where it's been for a limited number of rounds for all 5. They've all been absolute stars. And what a season it has been. But of course, out of all our shining rookies, there can only be 3 drivers who stand atop of the podium in the Provisional Championship. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen. And to recap, your provisional 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup top 3 here in the Motorsport UK Esports Championship, supported by Phil and Simagic as official prize partners and powered by the Sim Racing Collective here at iRacing. Harry Fletcher, your 66 driver, your 2026 champion. Jaden is 2nd place there in the number 2. Perhaps poetic coincidence? You tell me. And Ben Sieber, your 3rd place finisher there in the 26. Well done to all 3 of them for being our prize winners. Of course, the raffle for the Phil gloves available to any driver who's participated in all 5 rounds. That will be done in the coming days. We won't be announcing that on air today, but well done to all the drivers, and a special congratulations to our top 3, and of course the all-important mega congratulations there to Harry Fletcher, your 2026 Rookie Sportscar Cup champion. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to bring the curtain down on the season, and it is definitely time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show and you're thinking to yourself, well, what's next? Because that's it, surely. We'll stay tuned for plenty more exciting esports action at Motorsport UK throughout 2026. We can assure you there is a lot more to come, and indeed, we have got plenty in the pipeline. And to tell you more about it, well, here's our official working calendar, as you can see on the screen right now. And it's available on our website and available on our Twitch channel as well, but we haven't got a stream running on there. And now we have completed our Rookie Sportscar Cup for 2026. That's taking us through June through to July. And in August, we will be seeing the qualifiers get underway for the 2026 UK Formula Ford FS1600 Championship on iRacing, the Esports Cup there, which will run from September all the way through to November. And in parallel, we will have the British F1 Esports Championship brought to you on iRacing. And also, we will see there the Four Nations Esports Cup that returns after its incredible previous installment, which I do believe was the in fact, it was the Four Nations Esports Cup there, not the Three Nations. We had that, what was a couple of years ago, but we had the Four Nations Esports Cup coming to you in August, and also we do have the Britcar 24-hour event at September, coming back once again after a very successful 2025, and also we have the Sports Car Challenge returning in October and November, and then we will also see our Endurance Championship in December on Le Mans Ultimate. So we've got plenty to come, but of course, all of our core events at the moment on iRacing, the premier sim racing platform, available only on PC. Now, if you sat there right now thinking, well, I want to be on the grid for one of these upcoming series, how do I get onto it? Well, all of these events, all these championships are open to those who are Motorsport UK Esports paid membership. Now, there are 2 tiers of membership at Motorsport UK Esports. There's the free membership, and then there is the paid one, which is £27.99 in Great British Pounds or GBP per year. You perhaps sat there thinking right now, well, that's a lot of money. Well, just keep in mind, it does not just give drivers access to all of Motorsport UK Esports events, but also it gives you a 12-month subscription to iRacing, which would normally, for new members, be 58 Great British pounds there. So you're essentially getting it for half price, plus it also includes, for anyone who is new to iRacing, the FIA F4 car, which will be seen race in the British F4 Esports Championship, and that car is normally paid for on the iRacing platform. So keep that in mind if you are new to iRacing in particular, and you want to get on the grid at iRacing for a year, and you want to save some money, do make sure you get yourself signed up on a paid Motorsport UK Esports membership, because you are essentially getting what is all that content, the base iRacing subscription package for 12 months, plus also the FIA F4 car for what would be effectively a third of a price. And well, what a price to pay there for a fantastic amount of content on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC. It's a fantastic deal, and that is before you consider the unique offers that your paid Motorsport UK Esports membership unlocks on our website, including discounts on sim racing equipment, including say 10% off of Phil's gloves, 10% off of base performance simulators, access to setups, and coaching, such as that offered at Coach Dave Academy, of which you have 15% off of their packages. So why not get yourself signed up today and make the most of the huge benefits that could come your way by having a paid Motorsport UK Esports membership, and you can see all of our upcoming events. And do stay tuned, because of course we do have those UK FF1600 qualifiers coming up soon, as well as the Esports Cup for it, the British F4 Esports Championship starting in December, not in December, in September. I'm getting ahead of myself there, and indeed Christmas couldn't come early enough for my mind, and we have the BritCar 24 Hours event, amongst others there. A packed schedule to see us through to the end of 2026, and we would love to see you on the grid when you're a rookie all the way through to, if you feel you're an esports professional, we would love to see you compete in our championships. But of course, that's what's to come here at Motorsport UK Esports. And as we do wrap up, it's only appropriate we will say one big set of thank yous finally to firstly the Sim Racing Collective for powering the 2026 Motorsport UK Esports Rookie Sportscar Cup with their support series, the Hot Hatch Trophy. We'd also like to say a big thank you to our official prize partners, Phil and Simagic. And just to remind you about them, starting with Phil, the company established in 2017 by the founder of the world famous Team Redline and former head of studio at Studio 397, Dom DeHaan. Phil is a pioneer of gloves specifically designed for sim racing, setting the standard for performance-focused racing gear designed specifically for the sim racing sphere. Drawing upon the experience of drivers who have and are still competing at the highest level of sim racing, the carefully selected fabrics of Phil's gloves provide both breathability and lightweight comfort, ensuring your hands stay cool during extended racing sessions. So if you want to keep performing at your very best behind the wheel, make sure you head to Phil's website at www.philgg, and indeed that is F33L.gg, to see their full range of gloves available on their website. And also to give the shout out there to Simagic, the company founded in 2018 on the basis of the question, how can we bring the thrill of real racing to everyone's home? Simagic has rapidly evolved its product range into a full racing ecosystem, and whether you're looking to get your hands on steering wheels, servo bases, handbrakes, or shifters, every component is engineered in-house and built to reflect the company's commitment to innovation, quality, and delivering uncompromising performance when you are racing. So if you want to keep chasing poles, podiums, or personal bests, why not check out Simagic's range of products at simmagic.com. But a huge thank you to our official prize partners of Simagic and Phil. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been the 2026 Motorsport UK Esports Rookie Sportscar Cup. We have been at Motorsport UK Esports. I've been your host and commentator, Paul Walsh. A huge thank you to Motorsport UK for entrusting me as your host and commentator for this season. It has been an absolute pleasure to cover, and well, looking forward to plenty more race at Motorsport UK Esports throughout the remainder of 26. But with that, we bring the curtain down, and therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it's goodbye from us for now. And therefore, as always, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.
And he gets past all of them as well. What a move from the 48. Oh, look at this. And onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.